This episode of Speakers of Eidolon is made possible by our generous patrons, like Scry de la Rosa, Magecat Comet, Stray Cypher, Hans Grenade, Anna Ginteres, Bob Cece, Faris Gentoru, Cletus Oreo, Luke Leonatrell, Sapa Chakwatol, Courtney, Meili Algren, Circa Barakeel, Elam, Casey Schaefer, Lily Black, Chaitan, Chesha Soltiri, Ariel, Erisu Yamakawa, Cicirafula Lirafu, Daimos, Nina Grimsdaughter, Asuta Starbreeze, Quicklevin, Gamelore Geek, Sayori Snowfall, Ignal the Dragon, Freya Tsubaki, Kieran Robinson, Miscellaneous Cargo, Duke Jarlsberg, Stella Bell, Yarnthoda Aurora, Boogie Bear, Remy Asalia, and Ceres. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/speakersxiv. Thank you.
This is Speakers of Eidolon.
Good evening, Aorcians. Welcome to Speakers of Eidolon, episode 146 on a Sunday. I'm Lakeel Bravestone, and I'm joined today by, of course, Rollo, Des, Georgi Wiston, and Malavanadar. This is the second part of the media event coverage. We are going to go through the interviews today. There are many of them. There isn't much more to say before this. No. Just that we're going to read a lot today.
There's a lot, yeah.
So we're going to be here a while.
Get your snacks.
If you're watching this on demand, all the links to all the articles that we're quoting from will be listed in the description. This also goes for our audio listeners if you want to read because these are just pieces of the interviews. We won't read all of them. We only picked out the ones, the questions that made the most sense for us. Right. Also, there's no minimum eye level. You probably already gathered that. We'll continue wiping on Sunday. Next Sunday. Right.
Sure will.
Sure.
Oh, will we?
We will. Yes. Okay, let's just jump into the interviews. The first one we're going through is some questions from Gamer Escape. Are we going to post the link in chat every time, or?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
This is that one.
Right. This one sort of picks up where we left off. It is about the job changes, specifically about tanks. Tanks. See, these interviews are also, of course, done with Yoshi-P, but you probably already gathered that. Tanks seem to have been simplified a little bit for Shadowbringers. What did you consider when wanting to make the role easy to play, but also making sure that the hardcore tanks are still happy? Yoshida says, I think a lot of people who play the tank role have this sort of fundamental desire of wanting to deal the maximum DPS they can while being a tank. They don't like the fact that when they switch to a tank stance, their DPS is lowered. I don't think that players dislike the fact that by turning on the tank stance, they generate more enmity. It's more about them lowering DPS by turning on tank stance, so people hesitate on utilizing it, because they're worried about their DPS dropping. One of the first concepts was we wanted to remove that penalty of lower DPS when switching to the tank stance. With the initial thinking of how we had both the offensive and defensive stances for our tanks was meant to be something strategic. We wanted players to go into different encounters and determine when it's a good time to switch stances. Looking at how players dislike the tank stance, we might as well just have a single stance. With the update, it will just be a matter of switching the tank stance on or off, and you don't have to worry about turning it on the turning it on the generate enmity.
Turning it on to generate enemy.
Oh, enmity. And just worry about generating DPS and utilizing your skill rotations and if there are specific mechanics with the content, you would maneuver through those. We have simplified it definitely, but in turn, with it being simple, that allows for it to be easier to grasp for new or inexperienced players as well. True.
That's good. I mean,
yes.
Even for people who don't know about, like, you know, I should not be in tank stance as much. You know, I'm sure all of you have been in dungeons, and the tank is just in tank stance the entire time, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that exactly, but it's like, well, you could be squeezing more DPS in there. You know, you don't have to the entire time.
But now there's no penalty for being a bit more, being afraid to drop out of tank stance because there's no reason to.
Right.
Yeah. The only time you shouldn't be in it really is when you're off tanking now, which is sort of just makes it good, makes it work.
Yeah, it does.
And some people will struggle with that still, but
of course. But
send them a friendly message.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Machinist has seen a lot of changes with Shadowbringers. Yoshida says, yes, almost a new job again. What happened behind the scenes? How did you decide what to change with that job, and how did that factor into balancing all of the ranged jobs? Yoshida says, with the Machinist and trying to redesign the fundamentals of it, one of the major points we looked at was the heat gauge. Initially, the heat gauge was there, but it was hard to tell whether it's a good thing to accumulate heat or how much is too much. Is it not good to have it overheat? It was difficult to understand that mechanic, and it was hard to tell what the optimal level was for the maximum amount of DPS. In terms of the different gauges that you see, not just Machinist, but all the jobs, we made sure that we're changing the thinking of how they function. We want it to be a good thing if you've accumulated and filled the gauge. We wanted to remove the idea of maintaining a certain level or decreasing the gauge because it wasn't easy to grasp. With the Machinist, the problem was especially prevalent in how you're maneuvering with the heat gauge. Another element we looked at, there was feedback that it wasn't fun to play Machinist. People thought it wasn't fun. People thought it wasn't interesting. Throughout Heavensward and Stormblood, we were torn on how we should position Machinist. We thought it was all about utilizing the gun and giving it a strong position as a gunner and giving it stylish actions to execute their different attacks. We drastically redesigned it for Shadowbringers. We wanted to go back to the name Machinist and bring out that element of utilizing different machines and weapons on the mech, and have that visual representation of how it can utilize those in their arsenal and bring that excitement of having the different elements available. The gun is now just one of many weapons the Machinist can handle. That's sort of the redesign we went through.
Oh, yeah, I like that. You know, you get the auto crossbow now.
They get a lot
and
of
the Big Mac, and like I like that being added to their toolkit.
A drill, yeah.
The drill too, yeah, and the bio blaster, the fart gas.
Yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic that Machinist will finally be fun.
Yeah.
I like they acknowledge how confusing it was to maintain the heat gauge before.
When you first see it, you just think, okay, well, just keep it between the, you know, don't overheat, and then keep it, you know, above 50.
Yeah.
But it's like, and you realize, oh wait, I should overheat for my wildfire timings so I can get the most amount of damage out of it possible.
Yeah.
And then, what about AoE pulls? Do I want to overheat with the flamethrower? Oh, sometimes you use the flamethrower for a tick or two to get some. Yeah.
It wasn't a very intuitive class before, and hopefully now it's a bit more clear what you need to do with it.
Yeah. Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm.
If not, wait till the next expansion. That time
another
for real.
new job.
Another.
Okay, let's. That's Gamer Escape. That's no, wait, it isn't. Wait, didn't we move?
Is there another one from Gamerscape?
No, that was. Oh, yeah, we did.
Where did it go?
You must have Control X'd it by accident, like you did with all the other ones.
Well, we're okay. I guess not then. Okay, we're going now to CGM.
There you go. This is the CGM article, lads.
Okay, so here's this is it's funny because I think they're the only ones that asked a question about the companion app.
Yes.
Somebody has to.
It still exists. So there you go.
I mean, it's a good way of getting content that no one else is going to cover.
That's true. That's true.
Good job, CGM. Yeah.
I'm always looking for ways to stay connected to the world of Final Fantasy XIV, even when I'm away from home. Are there any plans to further update the official companion app with more functions, such as dispatching retainer ventures, creating glamour plates in your companion
very
app?
Ambitious.
Wow. Chatting in the free company channel, which everyone thought we would actually be able to, and so on. Naoki Yoshida says, the implementation of Shadowbringers involves a lot of system updates, so the companion app will have to accommodate those updates first and foremost. However, we do want to make it so you can dispatch retainers on ventures from the app, and we will be working on that once the system updates are in place. Following that, we want to look into creating functionalities that you can only access from the app side. Ooh. That way, players will have unique ways to interface with Final Fantasy XIV independently of the game itself.
Functionalities?
What is that?
What?
Yeah.
Maybe like gardening from your phone?
Is that the new farm system? It's just through the companion app. Look forward to it, guys.
Yeah, because
it's like Farmville.
You can only access from the app side. I don't want anything to be exclusive to the app.
No.
Maybe you can get rare seeds by going out into your neighborhood and catching them.
What is this, Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
You can go to a seed stop and get extra seeds.
If it's going to be bare bones, I want this thing to at least just have Squadron functionality and retainer functionality. And FC chat. That's what you would need to get me.
Yeah. I still find it strange that there's no FC in-game chat. Because I remember, again, it's been a while since we talked about the companion app, thank God. But we once talked about the companion app, and I remember the... was it Guildworks app? Had a functionality where you could access all your link shells and your FC chat while on a phone through the Guildworks app. I believe you had to be logged into the game though, but still being able to give live updates on your shit in game is pretty fun. So
you got to stay connected at all times.
Yeah.
Not everyone owns a PS Vita.
The Vita.
Whichever's the one where you can play the game and do gathering or whatever.
Yeah, that's the Vita. Yeah. I don't like the sound of content only accessible through the app.
No.
New Gold Saucer mini games exclusive through the companion app.
Yeah. Okay. Will Shadowbringers, speaking of the Gold Saucer, will Shadowbringers eventually add any more large-scale Gold Saucer content, such as the long-rumored Blitzball? On a related note, will you perhaps lift the restrictions on triple triad deck creation, since 4-star cards are currently unable alongside 5-star cards? Yoshida says.
Unusable.
What did I say?
Unable.
Oh, sorry. Unusable. There is a glare here that I'm struggling to get through. I need a paper again.
You made the font so light on this document. Just make it darker.
I have ordered.
You gotta blame Gyogi for this.
I have ordered ink cartridges. So I will be printing my show notes again.
Okay.
Oh.
No more old man iPad.
No more old man. I'm going for fresh hip Paperman. Everyone loves the Paperman.
Kill those trees.
Yeah, let's kill some trees, guys. Okay, sorry. Yes, we don't have anything ready for the release of Shadowbringers. The reason for this is because whenever we launch a new expansion, the players focus on the main scenario, as well as leveling their jobs and participating in PvE battle content. As a result, we have a general rule to not make updates to the Gold Saucer and PvP in 0.0 patches. We do, however, have updates planned for patch 5.1. Regarding Triple Triad, we are currently drafting plans for how we want to revise the rules for deck composition, so we hopefully have something to show you in a future update.
Hooray!
Yeah, he's right about that. I mean, I don't touch that shit when I'm doing MSQ. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's like that's like at the bottom of my list at an expansion launch. But
I'm excited to get the new NPCs.
I'm excited to hear about updates to Triple Triad. I enjoy playing it.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice game. It's a good mini game, but it's not.
I mean,
it needs updating in some way.
Yeah,
it's fun, busy work to try and collect as many cards as you can.
It's I actually didn't realize that they haven't really shown Triple Triad much love in terms of system, because they haven't updated the deck composition rules to factor in all the 5-star cards and the 4-star cards now. That is strange. Yeah.
The only updates have been adding more cards, really.
Right. Okay. So if Stormblood's musical motif could if Stormblood's musical motif could largely be described as Asian, how would you describe the overall musical feel of Shadowbringers? On that note, will you consider releasing the existing Blu-ray soundtracks as well as future soundtracks via digital storefronts like iTunes and Amazon? Many players are only interested in the music itself and not the accompanying visuals. This is truth. This is true.
Why are they still doing Blu-ray discs? This is nonsense.
It is nonsense. I mean, I understand. They should have both.
I don't even know what you get with them. Does it have a video with it as well?
Yeah, well, it's a Blu-ray, so
some
you get
of them do, I think.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I think some of them have concert footage.
You get a picture of La Habrea playing the piano. That's cool.
Yeah, just go to YouTube if you want to hear the soundtrack. That is true. All of it is on YouTube.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I mean, that's the only way, because it's not like they're very good at the stuff that's on iTunes. Isn't all of it? It's very restricted. The stuff that's on iTunes.
Very restricted. I just want all the OSTs as either CD format, so I can just use my CD drive or my DVD drive and get them off as MP3 files. Because I don't have a Blu-ray drive. I'd have to buy an external Blu-ray drive, waste of money for a soundtrack.
Yeah.
Or download them digitally.
Yeah.
I just think you're not a big enough fan.
You're right. You're right, brother.
You're not dedicated enough. You don't deserve it.
I'll take on that challenge. See me in a month's time.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. What? Oh,
you're right.
Oh yeah, sorry, I haven't read the answer. I requested the Shadowbringers base theme to have a rock flavor. Hearing the music in our trailers, it sounds fairly atypical to of Final Fantasy music, which is what I wanted. In terms of songs outside the opening theme, our approach to composition is close to what we did with A Realm Reborn. Heavensward leaned on pipe organs and a cathedral sound with a religious tone, while Stormblood, as you mentioned, had an Asian influence. I wanted Stormblood to have a comparatively, dry sound. In Shadowbringers, players will be visiting unexplored areas for the first time, so we wanted each area to have a specific theme. The goal here is to have players experience each region with its own motif and feature instruments to give that feeling of stepping into lands untraveled.
Dry sound?
Yeah, dry sound.
Yeah, I didn't know any other sound.
I'm quite sure what he means. Does he mean dull? Or...
maybe
is he trying to make it sound like just like
doesn't dry mean really brassy usually?
Maybe he means intent. Maybe a sort of a.
I might be wrong.
Not educated enough in terms of music terminology to be able to speak what you just said.
I'm sorry, music theorists out there. I don't know nothing.
Maybe.
To second your question, the group that handles the publishing of musical media is a different department from ours, so the decision of how to release it does not fall upon my shoulders. There does seem to be a trend in that diversion that leans towards disc-based media. There is a hesitation to rely upon third-party distributors like Amazon due to a cut of revenue they take away by acting as distributors. For about a year now, Soken and I have wanted to break that mold. We don't want to have to depend on a disc medium because a lot of people don't have Blu-ray players these days.
Thank you.
And it adds another layer of hassle to getting the music on your preferred device. We feel it is important to have digital media available. With that being said, there are currently some tracks available on digital storefronts, and we're hoping that we can offer more in the future. So
here's a little tip for you, Square Enix, right? you already have your own storefront, so just release them on that digitally.
There you go. There you go.
Now you've got all the cut as well.
But he's essentially saying it's out of his hands.
Yeah.
I also think it might be related to how protective the music industry is in Japan.
Oh,
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah.
they are.
They very much don't like music getting out in ways other than the specific mediums they've chosen to release them in.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that
That's
Dragon Quest guy? He goes crazy about that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's insane about people doing anything weird with his music. He's like, no, you will come to my concert. And that's it.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Soken is very
Modern?
liberal modern in regards to how willing he is to let people just upload his music.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is surprising but cool.
Yeah.
Also,
But I would
apparently,
buy them all if they were easier to actually listen to.
Yes.
apparently, dry simply means without any effects. What means with effects? Reverb is usually the effect plugin that is used to control the front to back placement in a mix. The drier the track, less reverb, the more forward it will be in the mix.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay,
There you go.
Thank you
I
for
understood
looking
half
into
of
that.
that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a vague idea.
but I get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Regarding the Yorha Dark Apocalypse raid, penned by Nier Automata creator Yoko Taro, what is the process you employ in bringing the guest creators to make content for 14? Yoshida says, once again, we have two major reasons. The first is easy to understand. It's a good promotion from a marketing standpoint. By having a notable creator involved, it allows us to reach those players who may not be familiar with Final Fantasy XIV, but who are fans of the guest creator's works. The other reason is because it bestows upon us valuable outside perspective. We have been working on this game for a very long time, and as such, we've learned how to optimize development and create new content efficiently. As a result, we may sometimes start to lean towards a specific rule in our creation, and it's difficult to break that mold. When a guest creator comes in, they may not have experience with the mold we've been working with, and they will come up with ideas that will break it. Sometimes they address things that we've purposefully avoided doing in 14, but that makes us work harder to bring their ideas to life. We think this approach leads to a better experience for everyone because it forces us to take on challenges we otherwise would not have considered, thereby surprising our players in turn. That
makes sense.
That's a good idea.
That's a good way of doing it. Yeah.
Yoko Taro is the person you want to bring in if you want to break the mold of your development cycle.
Yeah.
You've been learning through the near playthrough.
Yeah. That's.
Do you think he'll get excited when he reaches Byakko? Because he's doing the playthrough.
Yeah, he's playing through it.
I've done this already.
He's like, hey, wait! What?
Well,
My balls.
He's
My
been.
balls.
He'll see Brayaka and say, "Oh, so I can do this here too."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Um,
basically the majority of what I'm expecting from the narrator. A lot of bullet hell mechanics.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I hope we get a really ugly character like Dogface popping.
Yeah.
Please, just like
I want.
custom face ugly.
Yeah.
I would like to see like bosses regenerating their HP if DPS checks.
Yeah.
on.
Oh my god. Yeah. Georgie, good idea.
Mm.
That would be good.
In terms of how we construct the pipeline to create content with a guest, it differs depending on who we work with. With Return to Evil East raid designer Yasumi Matsuno, aka Woolhead, he's actually an experienced player who knows the rules of 14 and is very story-oriented in how he approaches things. For Yoko Taro, he was not familiar with our game before he played it, so he came in asking, what sorts of things are possible? I replied, I can't establish those rules for you because they will become a limitation. With that dialogue and that mutual understanding, Taro-san would relay what kind of impact he wanted to make with his content, and then the team would work with him to accommodate that. That sort of back and forth is essential, I think.
Cool.
Mhm.
That's good. We have already seen, the Return to Evil East raid has broken a lot of molds for 14 already. So, yeah, their system is working. This idea, philosophy is working.
Yeah. I'm confident Yoko Taro will do something engaging.
Yeah.
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 The only thing that worried me about seeing that raid was how it fits into the lore of the game.
Yes.
Once they've sorted that out, I think anything he actually does mechanically is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
I trust him with the gameplay aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm curious and a bit cautious to see how it's going to fit into the game's world.
The lore thing is the only thing that worries me a little, yeah. But I'm sure it's probably it's going to be some shard time. There's something, something like
we'll
that.
be going to like the 8th, which is some industrial hellhole.
Yeah.
Or some
possibly, one of the furthest shards from the source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When adding a new job, what is the creative perspective versus the game balance perspective, especially for jobs that are new to 14? Yoshida says, I would argue that 14's jobs are not repeats of of those from previous 14. No, from previous Final Fantasies.
It's difficult.
Sorry. While they do have names that are carried over, we try to make it so the play experience and controls are completely unique to Final Fantasy 14. As such, we haven't identified these jobs as needing to line up with those in previous Final Fantasies, and we've seen that. There's hardly... I feel like they're pretty unique to 14, how they handle anyways.
Yeah.
There are 3 major factors we consider when adding new jobs. 1, the marketing and PR angle. 2, when we look at the stats of how many players are playing which jobs, and we do have access to that information, the numbers skew towards DPS jobs. So if we are going to add multiple new jobs, we lean towards DPS roles because of their popularity. Player feedback is, of course, important, and we even have a ranked list of which jobs are in most demand. We keep in mind, of course. I don't know why I'm skipping words now.
Okay.
3rd, we have to consider which role to add in every expansion to keep the player population most balanced. It's a matter of thinking from an operations perspective. Sort of heard this before, but it's... Yeah, that's to be expected, I guess.
I think the most interesting thing is admitting that is the marketing and PR angle. Like, they know what players want to play as.
Yeah.
So they know to add, like, they knew that players wanted Red Mage and Samurai, so that's what they added.
Yeah.
They knew people wanted a Gunblade. They knew people they expected Dance the last expansion, so now they're implementing them in Shadowbringers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the end of the interview there with what was it? CGM?
CGM. Thank you for that one, CGM.
Okay, next one is a short piece, but it's very interesting. This is from Esports Online. It's about Raubon Extreme. I asked what the team learned about the Raubon incident and what steps have been taken to make sure something like that doesn't happen with the upcoming expansion. Yoshida responded by talking about how the game needed system support for that. It's actually been addressed as of patch 4.4. We remember that patch. That was like a patch they announced. And that the team has been running tests leading up to the new expansion. Yoshida said that it is inevitable that congestion like this will happen. In addition, there have been 2 major updates since 4.4 to make sure that the system support is running correctly in the back end. As patch 4.56 timing, there was a quest with Heian that was used as a test of sorts for this type of situation.
Interesting.
Yeah. The team wanted to make sure that the queuing function and system supports was working, and it seemed to work well according to Yoshida. As such, it seems like the backend is ready for Shadowbringers. Because that's when we started seeing the reserving server, or reserving. There was a window that just came up.
Yes,
it looked like a Duty Finder window, but there's no withdrawal or anything there. It just another.
I don't think anyone.
What?
I was thinking it had the blue loading bar and all that.
Yeah,
too.
I did.
Yes, I don't think there was. I don't remember anyone complaining about not getting into the Heian instance.
No,
so
because you got a visual thing that showed you that you had to wait just for a few seconds. It was just a few seconds too. You barely noticed that it was there.
Yeah, it's better than just being kicked out and saying, "Hey, instances."
Yeah,
especially when you got to watch the whole cutscene and then it would kick you out.
Yes,
that was fun.
That was not fun, Rollo. That was not fun.
I got to level Red Mage in that time. I was like, okay, I guess I'll catch it up.
Yeah, I got to the first samurai quest, which was instant. So that was that done.
Yeah.
So I crafted a weapon for it.
That's why I leveled my gatherer, because there's no instances in those job quests.
Yeah.
At least now, we will have you will be put in a queue. So at least, and you will have a visual confirmation of it. You won't just be
You don't need to actually line up anymore.
Yeah.
Queue works.
You can still do it for fun if it takes a while. Just form a queue, and the queue won't make sense because people will just disappear randomly from the queue. But
But talk with people in line. Like you're waiting at Disney World.
Yeah, make a friend.
Another lesson learned from the Raubon problem was to not put an instance so close to the start of an expansion. Also, the trust system does bring up an issue, since only one player is going into the instance rather than 4. There is an emergency button feature in case there is a major problem, like with Raubon. I wonder what that does. Does that disable the trust system, or does it?
No, please
people out of instances and okay, free them up, get out of here, shoo.
Does it make them skippable, and then you can go back to them?
Oh, that'd be even worse. Oh no!
Oh God!
I wouldn't like that. Oh,
I'm so curious as to what the solution would be if the instance servers get overloaded again.
Yeah.
Ideally, we won't have to see it.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so that's from good old Esports Online. Now we're going to Kotaku. This interview, some of these questions kind of are, you've probably already seen them on Twitter and the subreddit, but we'll go through them. The one thing Yoshida wants players to know. Okay, Alexander asks, it's been a long day, you've traveled far, you're under the weather, and you're answering tons of questions. Probably answered the same questions over and over. What's something you haven't been what's something you haven't been asked about but want to tell players? She just says, we've covered so much through all these interviews. One thing I hear as a worry in the community is the question, and here it is Yoshida going to be moving away from Final Fantasy XIV? Which is, it's been up there because he's been wearing.
Because he had that weird dark period where it's like, oh,
yeah, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here.
Yeah, and he was recently promoted as well.
Yeah,
relatively recently.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to happen. He says. I want to reassure people of that. So don't worry, Yoshida's not going anywhere. I do want to have some personal time to go snowboarding more.
He loves snowboarding. Isn't
that
fun?
He does love snowboarding. It's what he does during his Christmas holiday.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I want players to play Shadowbringers as soon as possible. I wonder sometimes if providing information can take away from some of the fun that's to be had. I really can't wait for players to get their hands on Shadowbringers and enjoy it for themselves. Yeah. He needs some more time off.
Snowboarding.
Yeah. Go snowboarding.
But it's reassuring to know that he's gonna stick with the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can lay that rumor to rest, at least for now.
At least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Addressing demand for player houses leading into Shadowbringers. This is like the only housing question, right? This is like, we don't think we saw this anywhere else.
This is the only one I saw.
Yeah. Players gave me a lot of questions to ask you, but the thing I heard the most was that they want to know if there will be a new housing area, and if the team was looking into new ways to purchase homes. On my own server, I know groups that organize to help players get houses, but they often lose out to players who might be using bots or other tactics. How is the team approaching this situation heading into the expansion? Ishida says, world visits should provide more access to different areas, and we still see that there's many plots of land available if you look at the data centers as a whole. Or just go check a different server, see if there are plots available. Move, transfer?
What? Move? Okay.
Maybe you can live on a different server.
You gonna pay for my transfer?
Or is this like him being like, I'm not lying, guys. Just go visit other servers. Look at all the plots that are available in other servers.
Yeah.
We do start to see a bias of less land available if we look at certain servers. For instance, if players are demanding more housing on Balmung, it's going to be more challenging to fulfill the demand for that server. But if we were to simply increase the number of plots available in the game, servers without as many players will have areas that are very sparse.
I mean, you're not wrong.
That's
about
true.
Goblin.
For bots, we've been making changes to prevent plots of land being purchased by bots. So in many cases, it's probably players stalking and being very meticulous. That being said, the situation isn't permanent. We want to respond to the concerns, and we understand the demand for housing is there. Once we're able to expand, we'll make sure to let players know.
It's just gonna be more plots. It's not a solution. It's just like a bandage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a band-aid.
Yeah. They could add like 1 million plots, and it still technically won't be a solution.
Yes.
I mean, a million, yeah. But
1 million
like
maybe,
last
but
time,
They need to alter the actual system for it to be a solution.
yeah.
It does show the benefit of the world visit system in the sense that people will be able to go to other servers, buy a house there, and still visit Belmung if they want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It doesn't help people that have already made characters, but new players, it'll be more beneficial for.
Though, to be fair, they did have a free transfer for like 2
yes,
weeks.
they did do the free transfer around the time that they did the server expansion and the world visit. So
Yeah.
And you got to keep all your gil, so
Yeah. There was you could just freely move. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you had a house, you wouldn't want to move because you had something attaching you to that server. But if you didn't have a house, then you would have had more incentive to move because the only things you would have on your player would be items, really, and money.
Yeah.
And friends.
But that's what if you stay on the same world server, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can still make a cross-world link shell.
That's also true. I don't think we're going to mention this here, but yeah, we did mention it last time, maybe. 8 link shells, cross-world link shells now.
Yes.
Okay. That was that for the housing. It didn't really answer the question with new housing areas and stuff, but that's typical Yoshida. Okay, on glamours, gender restrictions, and social issues. The other issue players pushed me to ask about is glamours and expression. 2 questions since we're almost out of time. First, would you ever consider removing job restrictions from glamours like the lock style system in Final Fantasy XI? Beyond that, are there plans to lessen or remove the amount of gender restrictions on clothing? Things that are not exclusively male or female. I know there's gameplay reasons for restrictions, but are there chances for expression with less restriction? Yoshida says, it might be a quick question, but the answers are definitely not short. First, to answer about removing the job restrictions, unfortunately, we don't intend to remove them. The reason is simple. For players who have played other Final Fantasy titles, they'll easily recognize these gear designs as a way to identify a particular job. You wouldn't want to see someone carrying an axe casting black magic. You'd wonder what the hell kind of game is this? And I agree, we can't go completely topsy-turvy.
Well, yeah.
We're not asking for
That's a weapon, though.
different weapons.
Yeah, but still, if you're wearing
Like,
a black mage artifact gear as a paladin, things are going to look weird.
It doesn't matter anymore.
It does. We need to keep some consistency in this game.
Wear the bikini.
Everything
Everything
else is falling apart. Let's keep some
tanks,
structure.
Bikini healers.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bikini
Wear
monks,
bikinis.
It doesn't matter.
Bikini is fine, but don't put a fucking white mage artifact robe on a fucking monk. Don't do it.
The artifact robes if you want, but everything else, like artifact gear.
No. We need something. Something has to make sense in this game.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Okay. And Yoshi-P is also on board with that. So I feel like...
Wrong.
Yeah.
Not valid.
That is correct. That is correct!
Yeah.
There's literally 1 million glamour items in this game. Just fucking use that.
Yeah, but sometimes other jobs have glamours I want.
Yeah. Okay, some of the crafter gear maybe could be nice on a disciple of war magic, but that's as far as I would go. To touch...
And don't even say anything because of Genji gear, by the way. Don't say anything. You can't say anything because of Genji gear.
Genji gear doesn't look appropriate on anyone.
Exactly.
Genji gear looks like just someone glued trash to like a one piece. I don't understand I don't understand. It's no. We don't talk about that gear. That gear does not exist, Rollo. It'll be forgotten. Thank God we're leaving this expansion so we can forget about that gear.
Yeah.
Just pretend it never happened. Okay, to touch on the second part of your question about gender restrictions. First and foremost, I think there should be freedom in your values when it comes to the different genders. We don't want to restrict attire and clothing that you wear based on character's gender or sex. Now, this one I can agree with. There's two issues for accommodating that freedom. The first is a cost issue. Say you had a dress and it's originally restricted to female only, and we were considering making it so male characters could wear it. We need to go in and make sure we're adjusting the design on a male character model and make sure it makes sense on that form. The opposite applies for male-only outfits, for instance, Hien's attire. We'd need to make adjustments for the female silhouette. We'd need to adjust for Lalafels. I love that there's like ...
Yeah.
If we're making adjustments to one or two items, that's easy. But we need to consider just how many items there are, and addressing all of them is not a quick task. True. In terms of values on our players, it's a time when there's a lot of changes in perspectives, but we can't ignore the people who refuse to make changes in their values. There may be players who do not want to see male players wear attire that's traditionally worn on females. We do want to respect freedom of self-expression and that people want to dress the same way, but we do need to consider and be mindful of those who look at people dressed in a certain way and how they perceive things. Let me give an example. I was heading to the office on a Saturday and I saw a situation that made me very sad. I was trying to go into the office and I was waiting at a red light. I saw a high schooler coming from the other side of the road in their school uniform. It seemed that they were biologically male at birth, but they were wearing a sailor fuku, which is traditionally female attire. In Japanese high schools, there's more and more schools that are accommodating for freedom of not being restricted to a specific gender for your uniform. That person probably wanted to represent the gender they identified with in their heart. On the other side of the road was a mother and a daughter. The daughter was perhaps 5 years old. As soon as the mother saw the high schooler, she shielded her daughter as if she didn't want her daughter to see. The high schooler must have been very hurt. Situations like these still happen, and there's areas where there's not as much understanding. That being said, we want to address this, and I think it will be gradual. For instance, for the ceremony of eternal bonding, we've already started to make adjustments. Once we officially release this, you won't have gender restrictions. If you both wanted to wear a dress, that's perfectly fine. If you want to both wear the tuxedo, that would also be fine. That's not available in-game yet, but we have done the preparations for it. So, that's...
Honestly, I think it's amazing that he's considering both sort of sides of this discussion. Rather than being all one side or all the other, he's saying, there are some people who feel this way, and instead of just saying they don't matter, we'll try and make them happy as well. And I think most people have not quite seen it that way, but I think it's a good...
rather than forcing these people with more archaic or conservative perspectives, they're going to take it more slowly so that they can be introduced into this
they need some time
idea.
Yeah, because we are currently in a sort of shift in views within the actual world.
Yeah,
and you can't just go all in.
Well, you can, but you might get pushback.
Going all in either direction makes you come across as
the most
politicized.
Clever way of doing it is doing it so slowly that they don't really notice.
Yes,
exactly. So that eventually that's just normal. I think that's the best way of doing it. But yeah, it's...
If you read on, though, it gets kind of weird, and I don't know.
Yes, but I mean, this sort of... to me, this, what he says next, sort of shows the issue that the game is having.
Yeah.
You may be familiar with the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Parade, where we had a Final Fantasy XIV float participate. After that event, players in the Korean regions were very uncomfortable with it, and people made complaints about not wanting to see that. This is disgusting, things like that. change is happening. People are becoming more aware and understanding. Values do shift, but I think the pace is very different depending on individuals. It's a difficult and delicate situation. It requires us to understand and know how things are around the world.
That's one. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I can't respect him more for the position he's taken on this, because he's taking it in the most sensible way he could.
Yeah.
They have to be very careful because they can't move so quickly as to alienate themselves in entire countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember, Japan and it's not. You know how it is. It's difficult, and I think so far 14 has gotten away with the changes that they've made because they're doing it so gradually.
For someone who's a middle-aged Japanese man, this is a very progressive perspective to have on the issue.
Yeah,
it was fascinating to read. To be honest,
yeah.
It's just weird though, because
I know as a Westerner we want to be like, push it out.
Well, no,
we've
I'm just saying that
we're over it. But yeah,
look at the stuff we already have in game, right? Like, we have dudes in dresses, basically. We have girls and other things too. Even just base game gear, like the subligars on dudes is I mean, come on. Is it that much of a stretch to go from that to just be like?
Well, remember, he also had the first point as a cost issue. So, in terms of gear, number of gear.
I understand.
Yeah.
Logistics.
I think an example of how this applies to the real world versus how it is in game is the fact that with the real world weddings, I don't think they are available in Japan to same-sex couples in the same way that they are in game.
Yeah. I don't know that either. But yeah.
I think the game is pretty admirable in how it treats this issue, to be honest.
Yeah. So know that they're working on it, but it's gradual. Okay, well, there's a question: what brand of cigarettes? Lucky Strike. Stop smoking, Yoshida, please.
Keep doing it. Apparently, it makes people live forever in Japan.
What the fuck? Fact.
Bad for your health. Don't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on from that. Next one is from the PlayStation blog. One guiding principle Yoshida-san wanted the dev team to keep in mind while creating content for Shadowbringers. Heavensward was our first expansion. In Stormblood, we went to the Far East. Huh?
I just said I'm best. Heavensward.
Oh, the best, of course. In Stormblood, we went to the Far East, and now in Shadowbringers, we're going to a completely new world to save that realm. One rule was we didn't want any extreme humor or gags. Of course, we didn't want to completely eliminate it, but we didn't want anything that was extremely humorous. That's fair.
Yeah. It's not a comedy game.
Don't go into this expansion expecting the funnies.
There was a lot of funnies in Stormblood, though. There were a lot of...
There was comic relief.
Yeah, comic relief.
Yes.
I don't want a single
sometimes
laugh.
Inappropriate.
Yeah. Like, Hancock was one of the comic relief characters that we met. A lot of...
It'd be like the horse chiffon scene, and then boom, here's Hildebrand.
Yeah,
it would make something.
Yeah. He pops out of a cake.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Post the article. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. In terms of direction that I gave to all this, in terms of direction that I gave to all the teams, including the battle team, people that work on cutscenes. What is that? Cutscenes. People who work on the lighting. We have these characters who we've been with since A Realm Reborn, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. We're going to be delving deeply into their backgrounds and motivations, so we wanted to make sure they're depicted in an appealing way, that there's some charm to wanting to find out what these Scions are and what they're thinking. So we wanted to make sure their emotions are tied into the gameplay experience. Now I'm actually kind of angry that Lise isn't a Scion. Because I would like to know exactly what happened. Like, I would like to see a cutscene of what happened with
That's true.
Ida and how that played out for
Yeah.
Elise. But
I mean, I've been wanting. So I think everyone's been wanting to know more about them since Around Reborn.
yeah.
Yes.
So we already.
Yoshi, though, I want to know.
Oh,
more
I want to know
about
a lot
him.
about him.
Yeah.
He's such a weirdo.
I think
Wow.
Orion, Stoller, and Thancred, we don't really know much about their pasts.
No.
And they seem to be the most established Scions as well, really.
Yeah. Oh,
They're the ones
God
that
damn
have been
it!
here the longest
I also
time.
wanted to know how Lise and Papa Limo met. God damn,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so much I want to know about. Why do I want to know so much about
We might get
Lise?
some Louis Soir lore with.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because they were all students.
They were all
of
part of
his.
this circle of
I
knowing, weren't they? As
Yeah,
well?
they were.
I want to know more about Papalemo.
Yeah, I
but
wanna
we're
know
only
more.
going to find out about him from
Oh, he
third
was
hand,
just.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
He just. Someone planted him. He grew.
Well, Lise planted him, clearly.
Yeah.
No, wait, was he...
It was a magic bean.
Was he with Ida at first?
He was with Ada originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's how it
Wait, as in real leader.
Yeah, real
Yes.
Ida, yeah.
Yeah.
The Echo flashbacks from 1.0 showed that, didn't they?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yes, they are canon. That's true. The 1.0 flashbacks showed actual Ida. Okay. Right. On Final Fantasy XIV's music and the evolution of Soken-san's growth and the evolution of his work. In terms of how Soken-san approaches the composition of his music, he's been taking one stance and hasn't changed that concept. He's instead been trying to raise the quality with each song he creates. His work thus far in Final Fantasy XIV culminates in Shinryu's theme. That single stance he's been pursuing this whole time is that in a video game, the gameplay experience is of utmost importance. It's the highest priority that we place. So going into the player experience is the graphical element, the battle content, the music that accompanies it. No single element is the main focus. We want these to be tools where they all come together to bring excitement to players. Of course, Soken-san is continually pursuing that concept. There is one moment in Shadowbringers, it's not battle content, but the theme that plays at this particular timing is so memorable that I've replayed that scene over and over just to experience it again and again. It's such a wonderful moment in Shadowbringers where that song plays. It just grabs the heart. Soken has put a lot of effort into his creation of sound, so we hope you get to experience that scene and enjoy it as well.
I'll be constantly wondering what it is.
Yeah,
then.
same.
Is this
Sounds
the scene?
exciting.
Yeah.
I love the soundtrack. It's one of my favorite things about Final Fantasy XIV. It's so diverse. There's so much of it.
Yeah.
It's
Now
just,
we're gonna get so much butt rock in Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the first expansion where Soken is fully in control. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. So far, it's been very promising from the music we've heard. So it's very
I still
different.
don't know if Susan's involved.
It doesn't sound like she is.
No, it doesn't sound like
I
she
feel
is.
like we would have known by now, but
Maybe next time, Susan.
maybe next time, Susan. We'll see.
Mhm.
We'll miss you though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It will be weird having a main theme without a clear vocal track because it doesn't sound like we're getting one. Unless, because I think at this point we would have known both tracks, wouldn't we? Because
they
they're
released
usually
a
two
tra-
tracks, right?
They released a trailer with the main theme, and we haven't gotten that yet, so I don't think we have one confirmed.
Oh, that's true. So we have to wait for that trailer.
I mean, there's still a month left. They might show it off at the next live letter.
We'll see, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still hope, I guess. Okay. And well, there is a live letter, in like 2 weeks, so we will know maybe then. Maybe that should be the time when they release a trailer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That last couple of weeks of hype.
Yeah. Okay, now
remember the Revolutions trailer showed a lot of the storyline from Stormblood.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is possible we might get it then. Okay. Famitsu. I'm very curious as to whether or not Famitsu was actually there or not, because
Yeah.
yeah, well, we'll. they're a Japanese magazine.
Yes, they're a Japanese magazine.
Yeah. So yeah, here are the questions. The trust system. So now we'll talk about the trust system a little bit. We didn't cover that in the previous episode, so we will touch on it a few times during these interviews. Famitsu asks, the trust system allows us to enter Shadowbringers MSQ dungeons with NPCs. Why can we not give the NPCs commands? Yoshida says, this was intentional. Commands are necessary when we want the game to do what the player wants, but this time, with the trust system, we wanted it to feel the same as getting matched with other players in the Duty Finder. In other words, playing with allies that have their own independent thought processes. So we didn't implement commands. If you add commands on top of an AI, then it can end up becoming dumber instead.
Squadrons.
Yeah. What exactly would happen, Yoshida? For example, right now, when NPCs are targeted by AoE attacks, they follow an AoE dodging algorithm to calculate where to go and walk in that direction. If you were to give a command while they were walking and they stopped dodging the AoE to obey that command, then the player would think the NPC is stupid. And that said, if they cancel their movement to obey a command, they might not be able to dodge the AoE or even get caught up in another NPC's AoE, again making them seem stupid. When you interrupt the AI's actions, they might not be able to recover well from the interruption, so depending on what the player asks for, the results could be less than stellar. Also, we'd have to set aside some frames before each action to wait for the player's command so that they would be able to act as smoothly. So we decided from the very beginning that we would be implementing commands and balanced it such that commands wouldn't be necessary.
No, we wouldn't. Commands.
Yes.
I don't need the micromanagement anyway. I prefer this.
Yeah.
You know, with all these squadron questions, I'm surprised that no one really asked if it was ever going to be retroactively added to older dungeons.
There are questions. There are those questions, and I think he said that. And I think he said that's not happening.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've had NPCs in solo player instances for a while, and I've never felt the need to tell them what to do there. So
no. So yeah.
They've always been pretty basic, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they started dodging AoEs and things in like the Lakshmi instance.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, that was impressive at the time.
Yeah. And in the last dungeon, the Gimlet Dark, they all seem to be following some sort of rudimentary rotation, some basic rotation work there. I was most impressed by Kane Senna, who would do a White Mage DPS rotation and sometimes also heal. That's going to be sad to replay now, because she'll be using skills that we don't have anymore.
No, she had...
Didn't she use Arrow 3?
She does use Arrow 3.
There you go.
She's collective unconscious too, by the way, which is weird.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
She's a little bit of everything. She's an Elder Seed Seer.
No return level.
So they're smarter when they're completely autonomous. Yoshida says that is true for AIs with personalities. The trust NPCs are always observing their surroundings while determining their actions. So by adjusting to them, players will be able to work together with them. I see. So they understand situational changes. Yoshida says, for example, Y'shtola is a special version of a black mage.
Whoa,
called the Witch Job.
Yes.
Name may be different in English. When she's targeted with an AoE while casting, she'll of course cancel the cast to move out of the AoE. If she happens to get targeted by 2 in a row, then in order to make up for that loss, she'll use triple cast to do burst damage.
Smarty pants.
After losing a certain amount of DPS from having her actions interrupted, she recovers it that way. Each character has their own detailed settings like that, which is why having commands would actually make things stranger. Even when you're playing with real people, you run into issues like most people not focusing on the same mob. Instead of telling them to switch every time, it's probably more effective to adjust to them. Please think of trusts the same way. Trusts will adjust to the player, unless they determine that continuing to attack their current target is the better choice.
So they won't always listen.
No.
But that's a
I
good
mean,
thing.
they have their own personalities, just like real players.
Yeah.
They can ignore you in the same way that real players might ignore what you're trying to get them to do.
Yeah.
If you pull, Thancred might just be enough of a bitch to just let you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The witch thing is interesting.
The witch thing is interesting. Also confirmed Y'shtola as like a black mage type now, so she has switched element. She was
not really sure.
She wasn't a white
really
mage. She was like she was a conjurer, a sort of branch of conjurer. But she could use the shield thing from Astrologian, like in as early as 1.0 we saw that. So she was always something else.
The shield thing from Astrologian made more sense for me for Y'shtola than Kane Senna because Astrologian is a Charlene discipline.
The 14 witch is canon then, so there you go. So I guess we can confirm that I'm still wondering why she was not, because in the preview pictures she's not in the roster for the trust NPC.
Why don't you just unlock her later?
But why then? Why?
Well, they have said that later. They have said that the trust system will obey the law, in that you won't always have access to every single NPC at every single dungeon.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think that might be in some of the later questions.
It does imply, though, that we don't get to see Y'shtola at level 73 or whatever this dungeon is.
Another thing he spoiled briefly, I think, is that we won't have Thancred at the first dungeon.
So
how do you tank?
Wait,
he didn't say. He didn't say who would be the tank.
Is witch the first's name for black mage?
It could be.
Possibly.
So, do you think, Yogi, that although there will possibly be up to 6 choices per dungeon, they could alternate. So sometimes instead of Thancred, you might have like Arenvold or something, or Hoary Boulder as your tank.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not in this expansion. But yes, I think that's something that could happen in this.
Because I was thinking is that you'd only unlock 6 and it would always be those ones, but if it alternates between dungeons, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will have some sort of tank in the first dungeon, even though Thancred is not there. So I don't know who it will
be. Yeah, he's coming with us.
Please.
He needs more of a part.
Why do you like Hoary Boulder so much?
It's his name. It's not.
Let Gaius be our first tank. Come on.
Oh, that could work.
Actually, that could work because he's a gunbreaker, basically.
Yeah.
He chased down an Ascian.
We don't know where the first dungeon is. We know where the second dungeon.
Could the first dungeon be like Crystal Tower, just a special version of it?
Don't even.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm not gonna. Let's not go. That's too much tinfoil for now. But that would be very nice. Like oh no. Okay. It's like so he said the trust will adjust to the player unless they determine that continuing to attack their current target is the better choice. It's like they see something that you can't, the interviewer says, and then laughs. Yoshida says they know how much total DPS is needed to clear a dungeon in a certain amount of time. So if DPS is lost in the middle, they'll try to get back to the target value as much as they can. In that sense, they really are terrifyingly efficient in a way that the players can't see. You're better off not knowing how they work behind the scenes. He laughs.
So it sounds like they just cheat.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're NPCs. So
yeah.
They're AI.
You might see a lot of triple casts from Y'shtola sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not that
engage spam.
Yeah. Yeah.
After hearing this much, it does make sense to not have commands in the trust system, the reporter or the journalist says. Yoshida says, since there aren't commands, we were thorough in developing their personalities to make up for it. For example, if the player is a DPS, Menphilia and Y'shtola will never use Limit Break. This is because they think the player, in other words, the Warrior of Light, is the leading actor, and so the Warrior of Light should be the one to use it. Although in Y'shtola's case, she might just be thinking it's a DPS loss, so someone else can do it. For Alice A, her personality has never been one of supporting the main character, but rather walking alongside the main character. So her train of thought is, defeating the enemies is my contribution to you, and no matter what job the player is, she'll always use the limit break right away when it's available.
Wow.
She won't do anything else until it's been used. If an AoE comes, she'll dodge it and then immediately try to use it again. Just how badly does she want to use it? The personalities are a good thing about this system.
This is why, all my first runs are going to be trust, and I might just do loads of trust runs because the interactions are so fun.
Yeah, because you'll have different sets of NPCs. You'll have more than you need for each dungeon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I really want to try and see if I could beat her to limit break.
It'll be a game of its own. While they do have a perfect grasp of the situation, it'd be boring if they always acted perfectly. Are there any mistakes programmed into them? Yoshida says, indeed. For Alice, she likes to rush into battle, so she'll often charge in, but get hit by an AoE that happens to be there. And then Yoriange or Alphina will resurrect her at an incredible speed. Basically, you'll be able to see them as their characters. The trust system isn't just about smart AIs, but rather the characters acting the way they would personality-wise. Yoriange is good. He gives you all of the cards. Now I'm excited. Go on.
Making like AI that's realistic, that feels dumb, is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Was Alize always that headstrong?
Yeah.
I know she's always been like
more so in the past than now.
She didn't even want to join her brother on his quest. She did her own shit on Coil.
She wanted to go her own way.
I like that canon is though that she dies a lot.
Yeah.
It just gets rest.
She's just that kind of friend, huh?
Yeah. It ends with a weird question, because now we've been all about trusts, but now I'm excited to go adventuring with them. Now then, it looks like we're out of time, so I'm going to completely ignore the flow of the conversation and ask this as my final question. Will Unending Coil and Uwu weapons be added for Gunbreaker and Dancer? Yoshida says, unfortunately no.
That's not a bitter
That's not a bitter
That's
smile.
a bitter smile. You know, he tried.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is for
Big
gamers.
shame, but they didn't have a Realm Reborn relic, so it sort of doesn't make sense. And then I don't really like that they added Red Mage and Samurai, to be honest.
No.
That's a good point, chat. If the first dungeon is still on the source, you could have Tataru as a summoner.
And she would
she's
kill you.
She's just actively a bad player. like 50% of the people in the Duty Finder.
Yeah. Okay, so
That's
this
an authentic experience.
Yes.
Okay, so this is from 4Gamers. All right, I'd also like to ask.
Which is another Japanese outlet.
Yes, I'd like to ask about the role quests. When it says they'll be about the Warriors of Light from the first, that means that group, right? Ishida says yes. He didn't say yes. He says it's Arbear and the other Warriors of Darkness were the focus of patch 3.4. Just like how the Warriors of Light were the center of activity on the source, the first also had its own heroes. They meant to defeat evil, but overdid it and invited a flood of light. So they kind of fucked up. In order to save their world, they risked their life to travel to other worlds. Such was their tragedy. We would love for you to find out what they did on the first and what they fought with. Since the role quests are involved with the MSQ as well, there was a lot of care put into them. It doesn't have to be right away, but if you do the quest for every role, you'll learn a lot more about the story.
That's good.
That's nice. In the description, it said that one set of role quests would be required in order to clear the MSQ. It just says role quests come every 2 levels, so they progress similarly to job quests. If you do the role quest for your main job every 2 levels as you go through the MSQ, it would go quite smoothly.
Every 2 levels is back to how frequently they were in Heavenswood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's nice that they're progressive through 70 to 80 in that way, rather than all just lumping together in one long series.
Yeah. Will the MSQ stop if you don't do role quests? Yoshida says there is a point in the MSQ that you cannot pass until you've seen the conclusion of the role quests. I won't say any more to avoid spoilers, but please do one set. So you have to sort of have 2 quests to keep track of during your leveling, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. That's I'm interested to see the role quest stuff. It is
Yeah.
Because we're not getting job quests in the same way, but I did hear that the last job quest is literally the size of all the job quests you got from Stormblood packed into one quest.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Where'd you hear that?
Okay,
I read it in an interview that I cannot quote right now, but I have read it. It's somewhere.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine then. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Okay.
I usually do them all in one lump anyway, unless it's like the first run.
I mean, Stormblood was more designed around that by the fact only the final quest gave you a skill. You just got your other abilities as you leveled up.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. There are some questions here from Larryzaur and Avalonstar. There's 2 questions here that are very interesting. One is about Summoner, of course. So let's read this. You brought up how when you design jobs for a current expansion, you have in your mind what it would be like in later expansions. Summoner is one I feel has changed a lot since A Realm Reborn, like implementing Dreadworm Trans and then Demi Bahamut, which seems like a logical continuation. Now that it's been moving towards summoning more Demi-Primals, is it going to continue to move further away from the Eggies? And is this a reason as to why we haven't seen more Eggy Glamours? Yeah, what happened to the Eggy Glamours?
Well, they were going to do all the primals from like Heavenswood and stuff.
Yeah.
Larry said that he put that part in there at the very end, but then Yoshida brushed over it and didn't answer it.
Of course he did.
Oh.
But I think I've seen in another interview he said you might see something in 5.1.
Okay.
Okay.
Yoshida says, I think the Eggy Glamour has nothing to do with having demi-primal summons. So definitely,
that's how he brushed over it.
So definitely the summoner is very unique, and I think there's a very different element compared to the other jobs. As the release of A Realm Reborn, we wanted to add a job that was going to be a surprise to those that had been following Final Fantasy XIV since 1.0. It is something that we regret, because we wanted to adhere to the class system that existed in 1.0. It would have been great if we could have implemented Summoner as its own job, but we ended up having to adhere to the class system. We came up with this clever idea of splitting 2 jobs off of one class, so we didn't have to worry about adding another class. We were very cost effective, but at the same time, we were very rushed in bringing 2 jobs in one go. By having 2 jobs splitting out of one class, we had various issues like the intelligence versus mind attributes, cleric stance, both of them utilizing ether flow, and many other issues. Good God, never forget the fucking hymn of the 12 or whatever, Ulfric's hymn? I can't remember what it was. It was a bad time.
It was an expensive item as well.
Yeah, it was like 40,000 seals or something?
Yeah.
It
was 48,000, I think.
48!
Which is like 200 less than Mac Cap at the time.
God. Right. So throughout Heavensworn and Stormblood, we tried to separate their identities so they could feel different. And finally, with Shadowbringers, we feel we have come to the point where we have made them more individualistic. So you are no longer the job centered around solely dots, but more involved with your pets and more like a summoner, as the name implies.
And that's why you lost Bane.
That's why Scholar.
They kept Bane.
They kept Bane.
No, I'm saying that's why
Scholar. Yes, that's why you've lost.
Yeah, well, they're saying that they want to not be the job of dots. Why can't I be the job of dots?
So you are no longer... sorry, I just did that. So in that aspect, the summoner is very different compared to other jobs. So with it coming much closer to what we had envisioned a summoner to be with Shadowbringers, with summoning Bahamut and Phoenix and switching between pets, we can now really express what being a summoner is like. It is quite unique, so using summoner as an example for how we design all jobs would be difficult because it's not a very standard approach.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
It's still the only one of its kind.
Yeah.
It's 3-minute long rotation.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm curious with Summoner moving forward after Shadowbringers. Are they just going to add more demi primals?
I mean, it is a summoner.
And then the rotation's just the rotation's just going to get longer and longer.
Yeah. Now you have a 10-minute fucking rotation. Don't mess it up.
Yeah,
even then it probably won't be as stressful as Heavens with Machinists, so you'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this next one's about the Eureka and relics. Asking about Eureka and how it was segmented from the rest of the world and how Heavensward and Realm Reborn relics injected players into the open world and old content. Into the open world and old content. How will the new relic turn out? Will it be more like Heavensward or Eureka? Or maybe even a mix? Yoshida laughs. A mix. We've actually answered this a couple of times throughout the media tour. Larry apologizes. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, of course, you had too many steaks. He's had too many steaks at this point. He's fucking drunk on steak.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, we haven't come to a conclusion with how we want to take the future relic weapon. To answer your question, though, with the old style Zodiac and Anima, there was an internal comment that was made that we don't have any more ideas.
That's true.
Plus, we received feedback that this style of content was boring. Which was very true, though.
Very true.
Yeah.
The last parts of the Zodiac weapon and the Anima weapon were not very good.
Even the first step of the Heavensward one was boring.
Yeah.
What do you mean, the luminous crystals?
It was just Atma. It was just Atma 2.0.
Drop, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Myla, I'm working on Fallen Rise, and I'm going back to Atma. Fuck, I forgot how bad it was. Remember, I'm going to spoil a point from the upcoming episode. There was a fucking typo in the quest log. So people were farming for an Atma that didn't exist in that zone for days.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Atma. Gotta miss it.
Goodbye.
Luminous crystals, but 12 instead of...
Yeah.
I mean, people complained about fate grinding, but isn't that what Eureka is?
Well, Gyuri, you see they've not got any new ideas.
They don't, yeah.
That's why I just complain about both.
Yeah. And even now, it's the Atma phase. People complain about the Atma phase, but they nerfed that like 5 times.
Yeah.
The drop rate was incredibly low. Like, and the worst part was
and
that
the timers for the phase were low, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. And when you were doing it, you now were aware that there were typos in the quest text. So like, is this even gonna drop here? Is this Atma even real? That was the worst.
The fate grind for the Realm Reborn and Heavensward relics have been nerfed into the ground. Like, my friend started a relic for Heavensward, and he got like the 3 crystals he needed in the first 3 fates.
So, yeah. That's
That's still too much work.
Yeah. I remember spending the Heavensward one, thank God, they gave us mercy. The people that had completed the first part of the relic,
that was a nice skip step.
That one.
Yeah.
But I remember doing the Atma thing, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to be here forever. I'm never going to leave this fucking zone middle Lenosha, which is the worst. You have to go up and down. You have to go the fucking crab fate. Good God. I hate that. Okay. Sorry.
What was it called? Lupus, right?
No, that's the Bloodshot.
No,
Lupus.
Thank God.
That's also
there were no Atmas dropping in the east, Eastern Lenosha. Thank the
That's
fucking
a good
12.
point. Since you would have to... Oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah. Right, anyways, in terms of the new style we took with Eureka, we had hoped that by doing the new style of content and being able to power up your weapon through this new content, we were hoping it would relieve any stress that players may have experienced in going out into the open field.
You made everything more stressful.
You just made a new open field and added weird
it's
restrictions.
an open field where you could level down. How's that not more stressful?
Yeah, and you were just underpowered when you went in, whereas in the open field you're overpowered, so it's easier.
Yeah. Plus, you were able to power up your character, and that's what the concept for Eureka was. We had a lot of feedback of players enjoying the Eureka-style rally quest, but at the same time, we had an equal amount of feedback from players preferring the Zodiac and Anima rally quest. So we've had a lot of internal discussion with where to take the next relic.
Oh.
You mentioned the idea of merging the two concepts, having content that you can play through, but also having a separate method of powering up weapons. But that would mean that we would still need to create both types of content anyway, so it's difficult. We are going to try and find a good, happy medium. There seems to be a good response to being able to take your time with powering up your weapons, and there are people who enjoy that type of content, so that's a good reference to have.
They're both bad. Make a new one.
Well, yeah, I know.
I mean, I think we're... the thing is, though, that the relic is in a weird spot, because it's supposed to take a lot of time. That is the point with the relic. The problem, I think, the main problem isn't even addressed here, but I feel like the problem is the product that at the end. It won't... It doesn't... There's no... the reward isn't high enough for the amount of effort that you've put into it. Like, it's, you're like, oh yeah, I spent like 2 months making this relic. Okay, I'll have it for like half a month and then it'll be obsolete because the next patch comes with a higher level.
The animal weapon gave you a minion.
That's true. And to be fair, the Realm Reborn ones were like iconic weapons, so they were inherently a good glamour.
Yeah.
The happens with ones with nice effects.
Glamour's the true endgame.
That is true. That is true. I agree with that, but sometimes
even nice.
You go to a step like the Anima weapon, where you're like, okay, I'm going in with my glowy Zenith weapon. Okay, I've spent like 6 fucking months on Atma. It's time to get this upgrade. Oh yeah, we removed the glow, gave you a different paint job.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy.
I mean,
Rollo. They made the this was the Thyrus. They changed the color of the gem from blue to white.
Yeah.
I mean, if I liked how it
not
looked,
white to red. So at least there was a different color, but it was
If I liked how it looked, I would do it. But it's too much work.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
It is a lot of work. I personally prefer it when the relic weapons can be obtained just by doing other things. Like you don't have to go out of your way
your daily
to
tasks.
Yeah. And like there are the people that want to grind, and that's their issue, I guess. If they want to speed up the process, I guess that would be the Eureka direction. But even that's really long.
Yeah, it's nice to just have it equipped and then you'll just get it eventually. If you want it faster, you just put in more time. Rather than having to go to a separate area where you can no longer do most of your usual activities and have to solely focus on your relic.
Yeah.
To get something that's... I mean, look at the White Mage Eureka weapon. It's just a pebble on a stick. It's so ugly.
That's just your opinion. Maybe some people really like it.
Some like it, I'm sure. It's nice, Mala.
One Step had the man.
That's true.
Oh, we had little man with his chest out like that.
What a weird...
I liked... The man one was okay, because it was like the other White Mage stuff.
It was a little more
interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Actually, just a rock stuck in a... It's like a tribal weapon that you've just found on the floor from an ancient civilization. Awful.
Yeah.
Worst one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the other problem with Eureka. It's very hard to jump into later on. I mean, it's nerfed now, but still, it's very hard to level.
Yeah.
It's not solo friendly.
No.
Most of the other ones were.
At best, you can do just some of the
challenge
logs you can do by yourself, which is not all of them. Some of them.
Yeah.
Which, the challenge log is like, when I jumped into Eureka on Ragnarok, I did get 13 levels in the one time I went in there, but it wasn't fun.
No, it's
especially when you know what's ahead.
Yeah.
I was essentially just soloing mobs by myself.
Yeah.
For the challenge log.
But even then, the challenge log doesn't give you crystals.
No.
Protein crystals, so you still have to do something to get them.
That's true.
And what are you going to do? Get the 30 chain bonus and grind like 5 million mobs to get them? No, of course you're not.
No. It's, I don't know. That's probably one of the hardest tasks they have now, to figure out how to do the relic. If they're even going to do a relic. Oh, it sounds like they are.
I think I can say when it comes to longevity of Eureka, I think it failed in that part.
Yes, I would. Well, we'll see what happens.
I haven't checked Eureka now, but I'm sure there's not much happening there. Well, now it probably is, because there's what else do you do now? Like there's
in
it's
some
the drought
parts,
before
but not
the expansion.
Not the beginning parts.
Oh no, probably not. No.
No, not gonna see that many people.
Well, we'll see. Maybe they do something for Shadowbringers to keep it alive.
Yeah,
I think the problem is, and something we've discussed before, is they didn't figure out what Eureka should be until like Hydatos.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Just adding in all these random systems for 1 or 2 versions of it, and then not bothering to retroactively add them earlier.
Yeah.
It was a mess. But if they've sorted it out and made it more solo friendly, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I think I'd be more willing to jump into whatever the next Eureka is if it's like Hydatos from the start.
Agree.
Yeah,
maybe.
But just make it viable solo for longevity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Also make the relics story more interesting, because they're just like Pegos weapon made in Pegos. It's like our old relics used to be like ancient weapons. Like there used to be like legendary weapons.
Well, even the Heavensward ones were not really very lore heavy. The Aroma Reborn ones are the proper ones.
There were more lore in the Heavensward weapons than in the Eureka weapons.
Yeah, true. There was no lore in the Eureka. It was a pebble on a stick.
The Heavensward weapons didn't have like individual lore, but they still had the anima weapon lore.
And the anima was kind of cool in the way.
Yeah.
This was just nonsense.
Yeah.
But the armor idea was nice. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
That was okay.
Make some better looking armor.
The glowy armor was cool, and it wasn't like garish.
Obnoxious. It was nice.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of Omega look.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Not that I've got any of it,
the tank gear looked like judge armor, almost like a glowier judge armor and stuff. It was okay. I didn't like the robes, because the robes, they're so big, very big robes. But they glow. The glow was nice though. I was afraid it was gonna be this overwhelming like particle effects shit radiating off the gear, but it's just, some of the details just light up.
You'd be like a neon sign or something.
Yeah. Okay, the next interview is by Tate and Frosty.
Yeah.
There's only one question that we've picked out here. On the topic of ultimate fights, I'm wondering if you guys have decided if there will or will not be 3 throughout the entire expansion for the ultimate fights. She just says, in Stormblood, in the ultimate battles that were for that series, our plan was, okay, we want to do it at a patch 4.1, patch 4.3, and a patch 4.5. The plan was to have it 3 times, but once we released Unending Coil of Bahamut, and the reaction that we got from everybody was, generally speaking, it is going to come out every 6 months, you're going to kill us. So it was a very rough world race, and I'm sure a lot of players were very tired and exhausted when it was first released. People were saying it would be very tough on us for it to come out every 2 major patch updates, and the development team felt the same. So at that time, they decided that, okay, so I think we're not going to do the one that was initially planned for patch 4.5, but instead reach a conclusion at 4.3. But then once we made that decision, and once that second ultimate came out, people apparently got a little more energized, and they were actually expecting what's the next one going to be at? 4.5.
That must have been annoying.
Yeah. There was feedback asking for us to bring back Ultimate content at 4.5, but the development team actually felt fortunate that we decided to cancel the Ultimate content that was planned for 4.5 because we were also developing for Baldesion Arsenal and continuing work on Shadowbringers, and so had those been going on in a parallel to the development of Ultimate Battle content at 4.5, they were worried that either the quality of the battle at 4.5 would have significantly dropped, or they may have had to decide to cancel Baldesion Arsenal, so it was good that we didn't have it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, with all those results, we are still discussing about how do we take the Ultimate series in the 5.x patch updates. I think it's looking like we definitely want to do it twice. It's almost decided that we will definitely have it twice, and then whether or not we do a third one is pending to see how we do in the first two.
I wonder what that third one was. What was going to be?
Warring Triad.
Yeah.
It's like, I would guess 81%
It
sure.
could be something random, though. Like,
Yeah, I mean, when they were talking about the development of them, Yoshi-P said that he put no expectations on the people that were designing the fights. They could do what they wanted.
Yeah.
Bismarck, but instead of just like one little blob on him, you have to just cut right into him. And then there's like a whole section where you're inside him. And
Wait, what are you talking about? A blob?
You know, on Bismarck, where you have to break open his shell and then you attack like the little bit of flesh.
Oh, right, yeah.
But you just keep going.
Siren Ultimate.
There you go.
Siren
doesn't even have a trial, though. So.
Well, you know what?
Pharos Sirius Ultimate.
Yeah.
Why not? It would be cool to see like a dungeon
Sirius
done
Ultimate. That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be interesting.
Because remember how difficult that was when it came out? It was like...
Remember how hard it was on minimum eye level?
They had, but that was after the nerf. Because Pharos was notoriously difficult when it came out. Like, it was tuned way too high.
Yeah, it was. I remember seeing lockouts in Pharos Sirius at launch.
Yeah.
It was I kind of missed that, to be honest. I kind of missed dungeons being
Oh my god, people were so angry. I remember the run.
Yeah.
And I also, many times, ran out of time. Especially, it was always at the last, but with the Siren, of course. Because she had, her mechanics were brutal before they were.
Her healing mechanics was really scary at the time.
Yeah. The anger in that dungeon.
Yeah, she put the anti-healing debuff on them as well.
Yeah.
And you have to get them up to 100.
A healing debuff, the one where you have to heal them up to 100%, and a dot would be applied. And they would be on at the same time. Meanwhile, you also have to run in and out, and there are also ads coming for you that can hold you down, so the DPS is free.
The zombies,
And I think the crawling ones almost always went for the healer. I can't remember. I think
they did. They always went for the healer first.
Yeah. So it was a fucking mayhem.
Yeah. Ultimate version of that. Come on.
Yeah. I remember thinking, this is easier for me because Lustrate always does heals a quarter of the HP of the target, whereas the only one that works like that for White Mage is Benediction.
So I had to.
I didn't have to drop out of Cleric stance back then, because back then being in Cleric stance cut your heals, but it didn't affect Lustrate.
That's true.
Okay. Anyways, that was Tate and Frosty's question about.
Thank you, Tate.
Ultimate. Now we're going to the subreddit and Work to Games questions. Are there any plans to implement Hall of the Veteran to teach players more advanced concepts, such as positionals and maintaining dot uptime? Something like, perhaps, role quests, which you spoke about earlier. Yoshida says, it's something that we are aware of and we are deliberating in the team. It is something we're very torn on and that we're not been able to come to a clear conclusion just yet. With the different updates and adjustments that we've made to the job mechanics, it was hopefully become easier to grasp and understand with some of the changes and simplification of these different job mechanics. I think definitely now would be a great opportunity to consider having something like that available. So they're thinking about it. I mean,
that's a rough one to teach because that's very job dependent.
Yeah.
But I sort of feel like the job quests are designed to teach you how to play your job.
Not really, or because
you're supposed to use the new skills you've got to defeat the next instance battle. Usually, on some class at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always that was a thing.
I think teaching a rotation, like a basic rotation, even if it's not the most efficient, would be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like a training mode in a fighting game, it just shows you the order in which you do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That could be good.
But yeah, what I'd like more is to see them teach people how to react to certain mechanics. Like, look away when there's a giant eye.
It would be nice to go through every single type of mechanic you see frequently, the stack one. Because I've encountered people that have been like, I don't know, it was a stack thing. I mean, it's kind of obvious if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But the Doritos one too, that one's not too obvious. I would say.
The Doritos one.
The dark triangles where you have to stand together.
Otherwise, you get hurt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's like abandonment in
Oh right, yeah.
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 Except in abandonment uses a different marker than it does any other time in the game.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if there was a tutorial for Zonde.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what we're saying is it shows how difficult it is to teach. This is big content to create because there's a lot of stuff in this game that you need to learn. And right now, if a person jumps a character, they do get the Hall of Novice prompt immediately, when they log in. But that doesn't really teach you more than the fucking basic AoE avoidance, which is just the red circle. I think they do the cone one as well. But
here's the thing, though. When they introduce new mechanics, like someone mentioned in chat, the acceleration bomb, you're sort of supposed to fail it the first time, so you figure out how it works.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people who then come back for the 6th run and are still failing to it. You can't teach them. Making that thing for them wouldn't help.
I always wonder what they're doing. When that happens.
I think they're not looking at the screen.
Yeah, but then
I mean,
why
you gotta admit though.
Yeah.
You're playing the game, and maybe you might see the dice for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very clear indicator as what's going on. You just see the dice counting down, and then you explode.
That's true.
That's fine.
But there's a debuff icon that you can hover over, right? Isn't there?
Yeah.
And it'll tell you what's happening.
I can understand, maybe even 1 or 2 or 3 times in the first time you see the instance. But when it comes back in later instances, how it comes back in Construct 7, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. There's a lot of established ones already that people should pretty much know by now. So it'd be nice to tell people at least some of the basic ones they'll see somewhat often. Because they didn't have to go through all the old content that taught them like we did.
They need a different indicator for Akmorns compared to normal stacks.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
The amount of times you see people run away after the first hit of an Akmorn. Very frustrating.
But at that point, someone has to communicate in chat.
Yeah.
If that becomes a problem. So, and that usually does happen. It's more annoying when you're doing a dungeon and a mechanic is failed by the same person every single time. And they just can't pick it up. Because I tend to not tell, because if people are doing it the first time, they want the experience. They want to experience it for the first time. And then I answer if they ask. Or if there's an Akmorn situation where every time that person runs out of the AoE, and then I'll be like, please stand in. I don't know. To me, when I fail a mechanic, I'm like, okay, I failed at that point. We do the battle again. I'm like, this is the point where I died. And then I see, there's a squiggly thing above my head. I noticed, though, that people with controllers, you can't easily hover over the debuffs. That's a problem.
That's true.
They have to use the pointer.
Yeah, and that's a
mouse or whatever.
You'll probably be dead by the time you've managed to get that one over to the debuff.
Yeah, and I imagine the text is already pretty small.
Yeah.
So you'd have to, get close to your TV to see it. Maybe?
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Good advice, though. If you ever see a debuff, you don't know what it does, just mouse over it. Usually it'll tell you what the rules are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes me 4 clicks to reach my buff bar. Good lord.
Goodness me.
Oh,
They really need to find a more efficient way of doing that.
They should have.
Yeah.
They should just have by default on the PS4 the text above the. They should just have it so that it's there. They should have so that it just explains the buff
Someone
text.
ask Yoshi-P this. He will generally, when it's something quality of life like this, he will address it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Currently, developers resort to web scraping as a means of supporting community projects. Are there any plans in the future to provide an official API for developers to use, such as market board trackers? Yoshida, so RIP. Well, I think Mogboard is back up, right? But it's limited.
yeah, it works now.
Yeah, it works now.
It's just got older data, I think.
Yeah, it's just not updating us off. Like
That's fine.
It's not on demand.
It's not minute to minute, but that's fine. It's efficient enough for what you need it for.
Yeah. Yoshida says, this is definitely a delicate situation, so to speak. And that is because the Final Fantasy XIV backend elements, the spaghetti backend, even within the Square Enix organization and our infrastructure, is unique. The Final Fantasy XIV backend is created by specialists, as we put it, who creates the different backend elements, so supporting or opening up the API in that aspect is difficult, only because the company itself is founded on console games, and a lot of the thinking and philosophy behind our company and the members that belong to it come from a console background. But on the other hand, I'm a PC gamer myself, and there is an understanding how useful these could be, and it's felt by allowing for customers to have the tools and the APIs available to them. What does that mean? And it's felt, yes, by allowing for consumers to have the tools and the APIs available to them. It will allow for us to collaborate with each other and build the game together. It would make for more expansion of 14, so it's very tough because there are still people with rigid ways of thinking, and some people might claim risks of security issues or server load could be a potential issue. We would like to open up for feedback if there are any specific APIs suggested, like if we had this kind of API, we could create such and such data. I think that would help in terms of referencing where the demands lie. With that being said, we do have a console version available, so we don't want to make it so these tools would give the PC players an advantage over console players. That would be the only thing we will have to draw the line and not allow.
Understandable.
At least there's a chance for a real API.
Yeah.
A market board one would be nice. I hope
Market board is like the main one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about it, really.
Yeah. Now that the trust system is coming out, are there any further plans to enhance the companion system by perhaps adding more companion options? Unexpected question to bring the companions back up, but hey, they're there. Yoshida says that guy is part of the A Realm Reborn legacy that we mentioned earlier, but actually around patch 4.4 timing, we updated the source code, so the internal workings of our buddy is revamped. So hopefully we can make updates. I have all the accents today. Updates, little by little, to our companion, moving forward. It's the jarring, I have to now read the computer screen instead of my safe zone is gone.
Okay, old man, it's okay.
It's fine. I'll adjust. I don't know what else I want with my companion, though. Like, what else can they do?
Give me new companions. That'd be fun.
That would be
new
nice.
Ones?
Yeah. That's
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I don't think it will, but you know what? Give me a Beast Tribe companion. That'd be cool.
Give me Gabu.
Give me the.
And as he levels up, he grows older and turns into a fully grown.
Oh god, I thought you were gonna go down a darker path, like he'll die of old age and you'll have to bury him.
Yeah. When he gets to level 99, he dies.
It's just like a constant, I don't want to use Gabu because he'll gain another year.
How old's your Gabu?
Okay. Let's move on. Next one. Next bulk of questions is from Drak's interview.
Thank you, Drak.
Is there anything regarding changes to this is gathering and crafting, which we haven't heard a lot about? Is there anything regarding changes to gathering and crafting aside from what's in the hub world that we should be looking forward to, or something that changed them in any significant way? Yoshida says, so of course, with Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land, we do have information that's forthcoming, and we were actually trying to put together a presentation. But when we looked at the document, it was a massive amount of information. Don't want to give us massive, just give us drips. That's what they want.
Yeah.
So since we decided that E3 is pretty close, we decided to separate it from the overall presentation and have that information reveal at E3. So this time we didn't bring it up during our presentation. With the craft,
maybe they originally only planned to have one live letter, but because they realized they had so much content, they split it into two.
Yeah,
maybe
because the job thing was pretty much too.
Yeah.
Only a couple of weeks to leave 3, and then the live letter's on the last day of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
With the crafters and gatherers, there will be fine adjustments made to the UI as well as the different recipes that are associated with it. And we'll be making updates that will improve on the usability. That sounds like maybe the cross action thing might be the... There will be revisions made to the different actions that are associated with each of the different classes. So I think that would be a fairly major change that will be coming. So it sounds even more like that's going to be the case. So again, we will have more information available during E3 timing for that. There you go.
It would be better if it, rather than the cross-roll system that it still uses, it uses just the class roll system that we have now.
Yeah,
so that every class gets rather than have to level up all 8 of your crafters, you can just progress with that with one.
Yeah, to be a competent blacksmith, I shouldn't have to be a pretty good cook. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been annoying to be like, oh, here's
it's such a bar to entry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So it'll be.
It will still be more convenient to level other crafters because of the fact that there is a lot of synergy in what they use to make things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's still a need for it, and maybe they could look into the specialist system to make it more attractive to specialize. But
yeah,
of course. If you wanted to be, it will be much easier to just be a culinarian if what we're saying turns out to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is from MMORPG. I know this is going to be difficult for you guys to follow, so you're going to have to jump back to the old documents. To keep track, because this document.
I'm just going to have to listen to you.
Yeah.
Can you post the link? I don't have it.
Oh boy, it's from your document, Rollo.
You're making me open up my own document. How dare you?
I'll do it for you, but this is it.
Oh.
That's all I'm going to do.
Thank you.
There's a lot of content in Final Fantasy XIV that's been there since inception. The whole question is wrong, but the answer is nice. Such as hunting and the Lord of Verminion. None of these were there from the inception of this game. Are there any plans at all to expand upon this particular content in the future? Yoshida says, speaking of the hunt, I think that as a system, speaking of the hunt, I think that as a system, it's nearly complete. But wait, I think we're planning for some kind of upgrade. We're going to keep it a secret as to what it is, but there will be some kind of update made to the hunt. Don't tell anyone.
What do you think it is?
Yeah, what the hell? More hunts. We've added some more hunts.
X ranks.
Will a realm reborn hunts be not die in 5 seconds?
Scaled hunt is not. Surely not a major.
I think they said no.
Yeah,
I think they'd say no as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're talking about.
No.
What he's talking about here.
No.
Maybe
we'll find out at E3.
Maybe
a nicer UI element.
Maybe.
Like a proper hunting log, rather instead of having all the key items.
A hunting log. We already have a hunting log.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Rather than have to right-click on each of the hunt log things in your key items.
Yeah.
You've just got one UI for it.
Maybe they'll just remove the current hunting log and replace it with
they could just add it to that, like at the bottom.
Oh, they could.
Yeah, this is the weekly hunts or today's hunts.
Yeah, that's true. With all of the experience gained from all the years working on the project, I think the development team focuses more on wanting to bring new content that more people can enjoy and to bring in as many new people as well. And so, of course, we understand that the previous content, like the guild leaves, are there, but rather... But rather than trying to go back to content that already exists, I think we lean more towards wanting to develop something that's new that we can bring to our players.
You're saying that
How
guild leaves
fucking
don't
dare
bring in
you?
new players?
How dare you?
It's the only reason I started the game.
I saw leave and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do the beckon thing. I love that.
I saw leave, but I stayed. And
Yeah.
Make like a leave plate and beckon.
yeah.
Yeah.
We do understand some elements might seem like it was rushed and the quality might not be as high as we want it to be. And the guild leaves, how fucking dare you, are one of those elements that we would love to go back and make adjustments and update. But I think it doesn't have as large an effect in terms of expanding what our players can do and experience in the game. That's right, bitches, haters. We're getting new guild leaves. That's right, I won. Take that, YouTube comments. I won on the guild leaves. Sorry.
It's a bit of a jarring tutorial to go from level 45 to level 80.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all get mean leaves.
It's not mean. Stop talking about mean leaves. It's just stupid.
They're called mean leaves.
Mean leaves.
Mean leaves. That's the rebirth
Dumb
of
name.
guild leaves. Final Fantasy
Go
XIV
back to Guildhest.
Guild
Mean
hests are not
hests.
the same thing.
Go back- I know,
Guildhests
but go back
are an
to them.
abomination.
Oh, so you'll defend leaves but not
A
Guildhest?
Realm Reborn is... Sorry, A Realm Reborn. Guildhest is an A Realm Reborn abomination. I do not support it.
Tests are brilliant.
Okay.
Why did they make them? I mean, well, I know why they made them, but
I don't know. It was there...
what a
I
weird
think it was...
thing to include.
I think it was... Because they... It's just like an early version of the... or a party version
Hall of the
of
Novice.
Hall of the Novice.
Did they think they'd make more of them?
Yeah, probably.
I think
I'm
that
not
was
sure.
the plan at some point.
Well, hey, now you just do it for the XP challenge log.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that much XP, but still better than nothing.
Final Fantasy
I'm not
IV
sure it is.
Okay. Final Fantasy XIV has become something that's beyond just battle content. It has become where people really enjoy taking screenshots. We are a screenshot game now. Some people are very, very passionate about housing. And there's so many different types of people that are playing. So many different values that people have in what they can get out of Final Fantasy XIV. And so I think our goals have sort of shifted towards providing a way for players to sort of live in the realm of Final Fantasy XIV and to bring more ways for people to enjoy Final Fantasy XIV. That's a lot of Final Fantasy XIV. So I think right now our thinking is, rather than going back to existing content and revising it, I think we are focused more on providing new experiences.
Nice.
I'm broken. But that being
No one
said,
asked about Perform, by the way.
no one asked about Perform.
I'm very sad.
What
What
do you
else
want
do
to
you
know?
want, Rollo?
I want every job to have an instrument that they play.
I've muted Perform and I've never unmuted it.
I always
Why
want
would
that.
every job have an instrument when Bard can play every instrument already?
I know, but it'd be cool. Like, you know, I want
Rollo,
Dragoons
just switch
have,
to
like-
Bard if you want to perform.
No,
you
I
can't
don't
even
like
perform
playing
in
Bard.
dungeons, so it doesn't even make any sense, Rollo.
I wish I could perform in dungeons. Come on.
No.
Just let me not DPS
Literally
for a
no, Rollo.
No, yeah.
Bad boy. No.
second. Come on, please.
No. Okay, but that being said, developers have a great love and passion for the game also. So sometimes there is a case where they have a particular content that they have grown attached to and wants to go back and revisit it. They will try to complete their tasks the best they can, the tasks that they are assigned as quickly as they can, and then when they have that spare time, go into content that they want to revise or fix on their own without me knowing.
I mean,
So-
they did that with the headpieces
Yeah.
for VR and Hrothgar.
Because one thing Yoshi-P does not care about is old content. He will just leave it behind. So it's up to everyone else on the team, like, we should really do... No, Yoshi doesn't want to do it. We'll do it behind his back. So as mentioned earlier, with the hunt, there's going to be a new feature. This is actually new information that we were going to only reveal when asked, so I'm glad you brought it up. But it will be, if you could keep your eye out for what that new element is. Huh? Did he tell him and they censored it? Or
no, I think
is that
he's
just a
like
pause?
teasing it.
Ah.
I think, yeah, he's like, aren't you excited now?
Yeah. There have been multiple large-scale and also small-scale crossovers and
With Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, we've seen like Monster Hunter, we've seen Dragon Quest, and the upcoming Yorha Dark Apocalypse. But is there any franchise that would be your dream? Yoshi-P says World of Warcraft and Diablo. The reason why is because I'm such a big fanboy. If I had the opportunity to collaborate, I mean, I would. I'm more than happy to maybe put something on pause in order to squeeze that. Jesus Christ, he's ready to put the game on hold.
Turn the servers on.
And if Blizzard ever approaches me, Yoshida, to give me the opportunity to develop Diablo 4, I would love the opportunity. Leave Square Enix and go. I'm so sorry. It was a joke, but
it was just joking.
But joking aside, I have been a very big fan of what Blizzard does. The first game that I played from their library is the first Diablo. And I learned so much about game design as well as garnered a lot of knowledge about games through what I had experienced. So, I mean, if there ever was an opportunity, I'd love to jump on. So he's like joking, but he's like, also, a door is open.
What if it happened in the worst way possible? And not like, 14 gets an event with Blizzard.
Yeah.
What's with Overwatch?
No. Oh my god. I don't even want to laugh at that. That makes me nervous.
You log in on the screen, you see Winston Overwatch. He's like, hey there, Winston Overwatch.
Winston Overwatch.
Winston Overwatch. That's his last name.
Yeah, Winston Overwatch. And then Tracer comes in. She says her thing. Cavalry's here, love. And then, I don't know. That's the event.
Cavalry's here.
That would be horrible.
I want to die.
I wouldn't mind Overwatch crossover, personally, but it makes no sense.
I don't want a crossover, but I do want him to make an ARPG. That's Final Fantasy themed.
I want a Winston.
That would be interesting.
He's gonna eat the peanut butter.
Oh, for God's sake! Is that going to be the new Cole recipe? Peanut butter. You're going to make Winston 50 peanut butters a day. And the more peanut butter you give him, you get more Overwatch tokens. Then you can use Overwatch tokens for the minions.
Oh, you get loot boxes too?
Oh no!
Yeah,
oh no!
100 Overwatch coins legendary loot box where you guarantee.
This sucks.
Good God. But think about the reverse though. The Final Fantasy XIV in Overwatch.
I mean, having
what would even happen?
It would
Winston with a Black Mage helmet.
Yeah, you get skins. Someone would get a Y'shtola skin.
Yeah.
But imagine if they fucking imported a Sastasha map for Overwatch. Oh boy.
I mean, payload maps are divided into 3 checkpoints. Most dungeons have 3 bosses.
Yeah, there you go.
It's already there.
Yeah.
You have to have a tank, a healer, and a DP.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This would still suck.
Oof.
Thanks for creating a nightmare.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
All thanks to Winston Overwatch.
Winston Overwatch. Okay.
That's his name. Do you know his last name?
He doesn't have a last name.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does. It's Overwatch.
Yeah. It's Overwatch. Okay, so we have moving on now we're going to the subreddit. I'm going to post that here. We are only talking about certain points here, very few points. There are
cherry pick.
We are talking about the fact that there are 15 glamour plates, first of all. That is confirmed 15, not 20, but there are 5 more plates being added in addition to the extra 200 slots to the dresser itself.
It's not enough.
I know. Yeah.
15 is not 20. You're right.
That is not 20.
No.
So, well, at least we have 5 extra.
200 is a bit optimistic.
I still wonder though. It would look neater with the. With 10 extra.
It would look nicer with 20.
Because now it'll be like, I'm assuming the next row is below, and it'll be like 5?
Yeah, it would need to be 6 to at least line up centrally.
I mean, I don't think they're they care that much about what's aesthetically nice.
Make it look.
When they
Sorry.
Just like shouting him down and just had to
that burp has been it's been here since we started the stream. I had to release it.
We're off track.
All right.
What I was going to say is remember when they expanded the inventory and then there were just those blank spaces?
Yeah.
Where you couldn't put anything?
Yeah.
I don't know if they care about that.
Do you remember when they added in that barrier thing to the party list? And they decided that putting it over your name was a good place to put it.
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Come on, don't bully them.
Okay.
God, Blue Kill, I can't believe you did that.
I've burped on this podcast before. Don't pretend that that's
yeah, but
this was
you
like
interrupted Georgie with it, like in an aggressive manner.
I shut him down with a burp.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to move on. We need to move on. Tarantino?
Okay.
Does he burp in people?
No,
okay,
Charlie
okay, sure. Remember when he went? Okay, anyways. An NPC shop had umbrellas. Stained glass umbrellas displayed for sale. Is it a housing item? Is it a weapon? Is it
It's a weapon.
The umbrella minion?
I was the umbrella minion.
Is it nothing? Like
Could
those
be nothing.
pinwheels?
Yeah, it's definitely
the German
just
enclave.
Yeah, it's definitely just a prop for the housing area, the market area, and it's not going to be actually.
I mean, a lot of the props in the game do get turned into housing items eventually.
Yeah, that's true.
So if enough people request it, if they want this stained glass umbrella, I want the pinwheels first.
It is weird though because the umbrella's like a thing that's been brought up a lot. People want the umbrella minion, and they did say that they were working on
it. And the umbrella mount. People want to be
Mary Poppins. That's true.
Never understand the such desire for the Mary Poppins mount.
Yeah. Okay, and there's also like a description of Lakeland. Which is very interesting because it says that there's a large mossy foliage-covered island marked on the map as the source in the center of the lake. It was just off the map, so I couldn't land on it. I forgot that swimming was a thing, so I didn't get a view of it underwater. From its shape, it appears to be a sleeping creature. It somewhat reminded me of Bismarck. I suspect it's either a primal or a world fate.
Maybe it's related to Eden.
Could be related to Eden.
Oh, Eden. I thought you said Ian.
It's not
Ian,
the...
Ian, did you clean your room?
It's not the first time we've had something come out of the water like that, so...
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't know if the source... The pin on the map saying the source is related to it, though.
No, I don't. I think that's... We know that that's the lake. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but then there's some lore about Don Meg, which is the dungeon. It's a level 73 dungeon, and it's tied to the MSQ. The plot involves the Scions traversing the dungeon as a trial to win the Shell Crown. This is technically a spoiler, I guess, for the MSQ.
Yes.
But it is... How did he even get this information?
I think it's the description for the dungeon.
Oh, it's on the... Yeah. Oh, of course it is.
Or they could just like have figured out this is the context based on what happens throughout the dungeon.
Yeah. We should actually be a little careful with what we read here. I just realized. There's a castle that's called Lihagia. And there's a light warden sealed within that castle. They theorize that might be Titania. But we don't know. I thought she would be in the...
She's in...
The big one.
I thought she'd be in
the one marked on the overworld map. I don't know.
I thought we had more things.
What?
Yeah, this is when the document ends and Lucio just has to... Because he couldn't save it, remember?
Yeah, it's not saving.
So his version has more.
It's because Google's cloud thing is down. Okay. So the next one is Verace. This is Frosty. Okay. This is Frosty's questions. To go further into PvE... Oh, here's that link. To go further into PvE, a lot of players realize the race with Red Mage is extremely powerful, especially in progression when going into raids, because you can race very easily at very little cost. Do you think this will change that at some point? Because a lot of players enjoyed the restrictions with Baldesion Arsenal where you couldn't race much, and so maybe for Savage or Ultimate, would we see those sorts of changes? And that's, Yoshida says, first and foremost, we want to avoid a situation where we're taking away something that you can do. We won't want to potentially have a negative experience for our players to have something available and then have that taken away from them, or have them very restricted. Yeah.
This is very irritating to hear.
Or have them very restricted in using that skill. So with the Red Mage, just as a general characteristic of how you play Red Mage, is that it's very easy to grasp, very accessible in terms of the control, and it's something that you can quickly pick up. And plus, you do have your healing spells, you do have your racing spells. So that's the sort of characteristic of the Red Mage, and we want to avoid taking away from that characteristic of the Red Mage. That's the first part of the reason. In terms of adding restrictions to racing your party members, in terms of applying that to Savage content, is definitely a no-go. We don't have any plans of doing that. With Ultimate Battles, it might depend on future plannings and how we approach future content of that series. But in an 8-person party, we're worried that there'd be more backlash than anything else. And I think that is correct.
Yeah.
In any case, having a magic DPS or caster have the capability of raising your party members was something that was a topic of debate, of course, with a summoner and Red Mage having that capability. Will allow for healers to let them handle the racing, and it's a very convenient way of sharing that responsibility, but also brings the issue of letting the caster handle racing your party members, and then the healer would utilize the leftover MP to make attacks. That was a point of debate we wanted to make sure to hash out, because it could potentially be problematic. With the discussion that we had with the development team, there were ideas that were brought up for the caster race capabilities to come at a larger cost, or have some sort of penalty upon it. But if we were to do that, the healers would see it as a negative, and that would that they don't want your casters to race party members with some weird debuff associated with it. And so the debate continued on, and we were questioning. So what exactly is the function of racing your party members? After a lot of debate and back and forth, we made the decision to not touch it at this point.
Yeah, I don't see why it's a hot topic, because most parties that are somewhat hardcore would use the Red Mage for progression and learning the fight, and then they would switch over to higher DPS jobs for the
either summoner or Black Mage during farm.
Yeah.
So it's fine as it is, and then parties that are struggling a bit more can just keep Red Mage to help them. I don't see why they would get rid of it. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I didn't even know this was a thing people were discussing. Okay, here's a little sidetrack about Chocobo racing.
Yeah.
Hey.
Been clamoring for this one.
Yeah, Milo's been waiting for this for so long. My next question. Maybe make it a very light question this time. One thing that hasn't received very many updates, and people are curious about it, is Chocobo racing. Do we expect anything in Shadowbringers to add onto new maps, or anything additional to Chocobo racing? When I asked the question, I did a small chuckle out to Yoshida. So that was... See, Yoshida says. So, with content such as Chocobo Racing, there are team members on the development team that mention, it'd be nice if we could update it soon. But with Gold Saucer, and we mentioned about PvP, new content and updates are planned for 5.0, only because when an expansion is released, players will rush to get to them. Sorry, did I say 4?
Yeah. I said I.
Oh, 5.0, sorry, 5.1. Players will rush to get the main scenario quests done. They need to level main job, they need to level their alt jobs, they need to level their disciples of hand and land, crafting and gathering, and then jump into the raid. And that's kind of the general flow that we've been observing, and no one's got going to do gold saucer.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to have them focus on the content at launch, and then we have the updates coming in the first major patch update. Again, just to reiterate, there is the sentiment among the development team to want to upgrade elements, not specifically to Chocobo Racing, but there is that desire to update things for our players. There is one issue though. The person who works on the Chocobo Racing is just one person, and he had actually moved up in the team, and so he's now working on raid content. Imagine that. Just imagine you're working on Chocobo Racing, and they're like, it's time to work on the big raids.
He moved up.
What about if we had a 5-minute delay on input for the new raid? No, Chocobo man, no.
What if we move on rails, but we have 3 lanes?
Well, they must have liked his work enough to promote him.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just hated his work on Chocobo Racing so much they just wanted to try and push him somewhere else.
Yeah. So if we were to have him upgrade Chocobo Racing, we'd have to pull him out momentarily and have somebody else handle the development of raid content, which could be problematic. So I think we need to find somebody who can take on and sort of pass the torch on to before we decide on making updates.
Yeah. Hire me.
Everyone on that dev team is terrified right now. They're like, oh my god, what if he picks me? What if I have to work on Chocobo Racing?
Could you just come to my office? We've got a new position for you. You're the new Chocobo Racing manager.
Imagine if they get a new hire and like you don't know what you're getting hired for.
Oh no.
And the first thing you see on your desk is just the programming for Chocobo Racing.
Yeah. Your interview's gone where you're like, I'm really experienced in raid design. I'm good at crunching numbers. I've got a lot of experience in that sort of Chocobo Racing.
Yeah.
I mean, how about you, Chocobo Racing?
Chocobo Racing is better than if they put you in front of Lord of Dominion.
Yeah.
I think they've forgotten about that.
I think they have too.
I don't think they've necessarily forgotten, but they don't want anyone to remember it.
They haven't forgotten. Because there's I don't know if other people have seen this meme, but there's a joke that like don't worry about how bad your life is, because there's a person at Square Enix whose job it is to program new minions into Lord of...
Every time they add one, he has to sort out the stats.
Yeah.
You make skills for him.
Oof.
Yeah. You must make the skills,
Bless you. I'm sorry.
So they haven't forgotten about it as much as they'd like to.
No. They just don't want us to remember it, I think.
At least it's not the Chocobo Racing guy, because imagine going from that to that.
Yeah.
It's a downgrade.
Okay, on the subject of hard 4-man content. Again, speaking with a lot of high-end players, they often want new challenges. They want something more difficult to do, and every day they say, what about 4-man difficult content? And so I guess I could mix this between 2 questions. Do you think we'll start having smaller challenges for higher tiered players like our 4 main dungeons? Or is there going to be some way to bring back old content and find ways to make it challenging? To use the same assets you already have to maybe reduce development? Again, this is something we've talked about.
You know what hard mode dungeons are? I mean, it's not actually like difficult, but
I feel like originally it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And then it just became like
now it's just the same
version of it.
Yeah. Yoshida says, so the answer, usually the reason why it's called hard mode is because originally the dungeons were leveling dungeons, and then they would be remade as 50 dungeons. Hence the hard mode, because it's now endgame. So the hard mode doesn't make any sense anymore, really.
It's a harder version of the original still.
Not always.
That's sort of.
No,
always.
I'm not sure. So the answer is going to be broken down into several different points. But first of all, when asked, do we make considerations for this kind of high-end content? For example, you mentioned about 4-man challenges. It's actually always being considered. There's always a discussion about what do we do. Do we want to do a very challenging or difficult content that can be attempted by 4 people? So we're constantly trying to make considerations, and of course being one of those people that come up with ideas for different content material. Whenever we're thinking about super difficult content that you can attempt with 4 people, you have to be careful, because not one person can be gone, or else they are knocked out or incapacitated. It's going to throw things off, and it's a very peaky sort of content that we have to adjust.
I mean, yeah, but
I sort of see what he means, because with only that many people, you really have to have maximum uptime.
Yeah.
I mean, he says that, but they made the Great Hunt Extreme.
Yeah.
They did.
Which turned out pretty well. And then if you're just focusing on things like DPS quotas, or not quotas, like, DPS, what am I thinking of? Limits? I can't think of the word right now.
Roll requirements.
No. The thing where we have to do a certain amount of damage before.
Oh.
Check?
DPS checks?
Yeah. Like, if you're just thinking of DPS checks, and like, yeah, some class combinations wouldn't work, but I mean, like I said, you can still look at the Great Hunt and be like, hey, this is challenging content that doesn't just depend on that. It doesn't have to play.
Just don't put like enrages in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if either of you are familiar with game designing or game developing. They will probably ring. I'm sure if either of you are familiar with game designing or game developing, it will probably ring a bell. Two issues that would come about. How many people will actually attempt something that is so difficult? And of course, if we want as many people as possible trying to attempt and complete this content, we need to have that incentive or some kind of reward. If this reward is something that is very powerful, those more casual players might not like that fact, having that sort of difficulty and the peaky balance, but still able to complete and clear the content, and trying to consider all the factors that go into creating such content would require enough development resources to create, say, like an ultimate content. You mentioned,
they've made ultimate content, and that is like the percentage of the percent.
Yeah.
And I'm still okay with that existing because I can enjoy it outside of actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What he's saying... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
How do you think people would feel if instead of 3 ultimates, one of those ultimates was replaced with difficult 4-man content?
I would be so okay with that.
I'd be fine with that. He says, like, who's gonna, like, worry about who's gonna attempt this, but I feel like more people would do hard 4-man content than they would an ultimate. If that's what you're worrying about.
Yeah.
It's easier to coordinate with 4 people than 8.
Yeah, and it's just easier to find that number of people in general. You're going to have, a couple of people in your FC or that that will just happily jump in and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Even get the trust to do it.
You mentioned about utilizing graphics, resources, assets, and repurposing them. I'm sure that is a factor that would decrease the burden on the development resources, but we still have to come up with the mechanics and the different gimmicks that are part of the battle encounter, and our designer would have to come up with ideas from scratch. The same goes for programming of the content. We would have to write the code from scratch as well, so unfortunately it's not just a matter of repurposing what existing content we already have. So if we were faced with a decision whether we utilize one of our very talented designers to create content that is 4-man and extremely difficult, or risk sacrificing the quality of some other content, the development team usually ends up deciding that it's more efficient to create ultimate battles. That's how the conversation tends to go. The other issue that arises is the job balance. Of course, in a light party, you have your 1 tank, 2 DPS, 1 healer. And it's because there's such a small number of people going into the content, it's inevitable to start seeing that certain combinations of jobs going into the content is more advantageous than the other. You can see it much more significantly compared to that of an 8-man content. No. Yes? On top of that, among the 4 people, there may be specific actions of a specific job that might... I feel like I'm reading the same sentence. Sorry, I think I'm actually having a stroke.
You're fine.
You have specific actions of a specific job that make things more advantageous, and people might find that you need to have this job and make sure you have this action available. And there's a really high chance of that happening. So with any sort of raid or difficult content, the typical way to go about balancing that content is the assumption of 8 people going into it. So if we were to have that in a reduced number of people going into the content, it causes that kind of issue. Not just with the balance, but people asking for, I want this job balanced because of this content. And there is that sort of fear of the feedback that comes back that way. So we always discuss very heavily about it, and we always tend to be like, well, we need to give it more thought. And we're always kind of wondering and hesitant on it. And of course, there are other team members in the development team that do want to respond to that request. There are people who want to create content like that would satisfy that sort of... But then when I pose that next question of would you rather create high-end, super difficult content for 4 people or have your next Baldessian arsenal, a lot of the team members would want to go and help create the second Baldessian arsenal. But don't lose hope. Please don't lose hope.
Oh, okay.
The language in this confused me greatly. I legit thought I was just sitting here reading the same sentence like twice. But okay, there we go.
Weirdly worded, yeah.
You got through it.
I got through it. Right.
Still a weird response. I know he talked about 4-man hard content before, and he gave a similar response, but still, like...
Yeah. But don't lose hope. There's still hope.
Yeah.
Never lose hope. Please.
Okay, so we're getting near the end now, but there's a little bit of he dropped a little bit of a description of Yulmore. This is from Power Up Gaming, a piece there. What if people decided to just stop putting in the effort? Or what if people just decided they're no longer going to pursue something with passion, just cease working, just be lazy, eat whatever you want, and just give up on doing anything that is human-like? Jesus Christ. Some people,
like me.
Some people might decide we don't even need to work. We don't need to put in the effort anymore because we might as well just wait for our end. That's my kind of world with my spaghetti alla Capri. I don't like spaghetti alla Capri anymore. It might seem like things are... It might seem like things are deteriorating in terms of how mankind reacts, but there's no fighting, conflict, or disparity between the rich and the poor. To some people, that environment might seem like paradise, so people start to flock to that idea. But if too many people come, not everybody can fit into that space. Not everybody could necessarily go in, and so we start to see the people who are accepted and the people who are not start to break apart into those distinct groups. Naoki Yoshida.
Big sad. And I can't be in Omar right now.
That's... Yeah.
Is that what you want your life to be?
Eating grapes.
Eating grapes.
I just want to become a hedonist, you know? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Also... in the same article, I think I'm just going to mention this because this
do you want to mention it? Oh my god,
the most confusing part, and I wish we understood why this is posted here in this article. But I have posted the link so you can see it for yourself already. But it says 6 new areas will be included in Shadowbringers. They were right about 2 of them. The Crystarium. Okay. Yeah, we know that. Okay. Also, it's funny because he literally just described Yulmore. Just keep that in mind. The Crystarium, Lakeland is just correct, but then we start with like addendums. The fourth Job. The second area is apparently Lakeland, the Ostal Imperative.
Okay.
That sounds like a game. That sounds like a video game title. And then Ilmeg. Oh, sorry, they were right on 3. That one's also correct. But then the addendum Lida Lran, Ilmeg Plaeni, and Ilmeg Wolekdorf.
I like how Ilmeg is not spelt correctly in that last one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just, he didn't even care there. I was like, oh, that's probably the 6. He probably just heard 6 areas. Like, oh, 6 areas? Fuck, I'll just... I forgot to note that down. I'll just make some shit up.
Areas and new areas, guys. Watch out.
Yeah, watch out, guys. Little did we know that Ilmeg is actually 3 areas. It's 3 zones. Just Ilmeg. Yeah, that's that. That is the end of the interviews, and we have made perfect time. A lot of information to digest here.
Yes.
But now we just have to wait until E3 in 2 weeks. That's when we get to learn more about the crafting and gathering. Probably. Hopefully we'll see some restoration of Ishgard, but I still doubt it because I don't think it's launch content.
Might be 5.1 stuff. That feels like that's where it would fit in.
Yeah.
At earliest it would be like 5.05.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's such like a big distraction from the MSQ. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then, thank you all for watching this special episode of Speakers of Eidolon on a Sunday. Heresy. Remember to follow us on Twitter, speakersxav.com, youtube.com/speakers of Eidolon, twitch.tv/speakers of... No, this is all wrong. Twitch.tv/speakers of Eidolon, youtube.com/speakersxiv, ! Discord if you're watching live. If you're watching on demand, link is in the description. Send us mogmail, speakersxiv.com/mogmail. We'll read it next week because there's nothing major happening.
You're making...
Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, actually, I know that one of our topics are going to be. I talked about it yesterday. We're going to talk about the leaks and the data mining and how that went down.
Yes.
So, but yeah, send us mogmail, speakersxiv.com/mogmail. We're looking for moderators. I'm so done. We're looking for moderators. speakersxiv.com/mods. Goodbye, everyone. May you have good night.
Bye.
I'm going to use my old... What did I used to say? I was thinking about it the
May
other
you
day.
ever walk in the light of the crystal.
Yes.
That.
May you ever walk in the light of the crystal. This is wrong. Oh, oops. Goodbye.
Bye.